How goes it?
It goes slowly
It goes.
on and on forever. How goes it with you?
Good. I slept till 3 today.
I went back to sleep today.
Hmm.
It was great until it got interrupted. Which may have had something to do with about why I called you like 2 hours ago.
I was watching Stargate Atlantis and I was scrolling through my phone through Reddit and it popped up and said, call from Gavi. I was like, what? Why is he calling me? And then I realized it was a Discord call and I went, and it was covering up my time. And I was like, it's not 8 o'clock yet. It can't be 8 o'clock. I just looked at it. It was 6. And so I got up and ran over to my computer and hit call, and then you weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at the clock and I was like, it is 6. What the crap?
So there's I know last week we talked about TED Talks briefly amidst other things. But there's this other TED Talk on there about the art of misdirection, and what the guy says, he tells you like to go in to your phone, open it up, and I think he says something to the effect of like, look at the last picture that you sent or the last text message you received and read that real quick. And when you're done, just go ahead and close your phone. Now, without opening your phone back up, tell me what time it was. And it's beautiful. I forget what his name is, but I can find it real quick. The Art of Misdirection. It's also The Art of Procrastination. That's another good one. Apollo Robbins. And it's beautiful. And he just messes with the audience the entire time. And it really shows forth this idea called cognitive blind spots, where if it's not something you're directly looking for, you miss it entirely. So he tells you to go look for he tells you what to look for. You look for it, you find the answer, you bring it back to him, he's happy. And then he tells you this other thing which should have been totally obvious to you in the process of getting that information, but you missed it entirely. Because like when you turn on your screen, it displays the time. When you open, the password or whatever, it also displays the time. The time is displayed in the upper right-hand corner the entire time you go through the process. All the way to the point where you close off the screen, the time is available to you through the entire sequence of events. But nobody pays attention to that because it's not part of the answer that they're looking for. And it's just beautiful. So yeah, tangent number 1 out of the way. What a week this has been, Masters. You typically go on binges, and I finally broke out of the YouTube politosphere long enough to binge watch the entire 3rd season of Daredevil. I'm only like 2 years behind. It was great, by the way. Really, really enjoyed it. Fantastic. Shame we're not going to get any more. Although there is some rumors now that Charlie, what's his name? It's not Charlie Kirk. I don't think so. I could be wrong. I know his name. Charlie Cox. That's his name. That he might be joining the MCU proper, which would be kind of interesting. Which actually, that would be kind of so. I think it was supposed to come out like now, or maybe sometime.
Am I muted? Or are you just ignoring me?
I have not heard a word you said for the last several minutes. I just assumed I was having to fill space because you were involved in something else.
I was asking you who Charlie Cox was, but Daredevil.
Yes, Charlie Cox is Daredevil. So there's some chances that he might be joining the MCU proper, which I think would be really cool because I think it was supposed to be around now, but maybe like early next year, they're supposed to be launching the movie Shang-Chi, which is now kind of pushed off even farther. But Shang-Chi is like this major martial arts type of person, and now we're getting more and more people who are being confirmed to be taking roles in a very martial arts oriented kind of way in the MCU. You have Shang-Chi. They're talking definitely about bringing back the guy who played Iron Fist. I can't remember his name either. Darn it. This is really annoying. What's his name? Finn Jones. I can't imagine why I don't remember Finn Jones. But bringing back him and Jessica Henwick, who did the Iron Fist series, bringing in Charlie Cox, bringing him back, or at least bringing back a Daredevil and Iron Fist character. And then also, I think I saw like on Monday a article that said that what's his name? Gah! His name is really annoying. There we go. Actor. Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is going to be coming into play Moon Knight, who is also a very martial arts oriented fellow. And that this could all lead into like some sort of like offshoot martial arts oriented team up movie at some point, which to me sounds amazing. In fact, right now, of the list of movies that are supposed to be coming out through the MCU in Phase 4, which the total lineup for Phase 4 is kind of underwhelming, at least as I've seen it so far. There's not really been any like official phasing news about Star Wars in a while. Not Star Wars, wow. MCU in a while, because there haven't been any movies coming out. Like Black Widow was supposed to come out back in May. It's now not coming out until next year. So, with that being the case, and there not being really any news coming out in terms of like what qualifies as Phase 4 versus Phase 5, which has already been talked about now, despite the fact that Phase 4 is still not anywhere near being done. Shang-Chi was like the big movie that I was excited for, which was weird because I know nothing about Shang-Chi whatsoever. I just thought it was the one it's the one that just kind of struck me as like, this is probably going to be the one that's going to be the best, even over Eternals and Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, which will also be, I'm sure, a trippy ride to be, without question. But every once in a while I get this like odd feeling like a movie is going to be very, very good or very, very bad just from like the title. And like the first time I had this impression was when I watched Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar, not Avatar: The Last Airbender. Always had to make. Yeah. Well, it's good to clarify because it is confusing. He couldn't have come up with any other word. But like I got that impression, and then for like multiple years after that, Avatar.
I was sitting here thinking of what else you could call it, and the first thing that came to mind was blue skin.
I mean, he could have.
Sure would have watched that.
I mean, there's a scene where that would have made a lot more sense, but that's a really bad joke, and I hope nobody gets it. Anyway. Wow, that took a very sharp downward turn, didn't it?
Yeah, first 10 minutes. Well, there went the podcast.
Anyway, moving right along. Yeah, fun. Anyway, I have totally lost my train of thought. So, like, that was for like 3 or 4 years after that. That was like my favorite movie to watch, and I watched it very frequently, like 4 or 5 times a year. And I'm not doing that now. I think I still watch it like maybe once every 18 months or so, which is kind of crazy to think like, wow, it's been like 11 years, 11 and a half years since that movie came out. And now the sequel's supposed to come out next year. It's like, how quickly is time passing, Masters? I'm getting old really fast.
Just yesterday, you were saying that this year was going by slowly.
This year there's so much crammed into it. Have you seen the meme about how. Okay, so let me find it. 2020 event meme Gabriel. See if this comes up. Probably not. Okay, yeah, here we go. So, God says to Gabriel, have you finished setting up future events for the 2020s? Yes, God, I have. Wait, did you say 2020s plural, as in the decade? Of course, what else? I thought you meant 2020 the year. God back to Gabriel, you put a decade worth of history in 1 year? Yes. It's like, okay, yeah, that pretty much sums up 2020. So it's not that it's moving slowly. In fact, with the amount of things, there's no time to catch your breath from moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But in that same time, when you look back at everything, it really is that Indiana Jones quote, "It ain't the years, kid, it's the mileage." And we are definitely in the mileage.
Oh.
So it feels like it's move. It feels like it's move. It feels like it should be. It should be moving slower. But pacing. We are not pacing ourselves this year.
Oh, you just posted that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it just it's like is 2020 moving theoretically faster than normal? Yes. Does it feel like does it feel like we're like on par with the rest of the year? No. It feels like we're 6 months behind, but we're almost at the end. And we're still got, a month and a half to go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this year has flown by. Every time I look up, I think that something that happened 2 years ago just happened a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we had a leak in one of our buildings a couple of weeks ago, and I started trying to get in touch with the people that had fixed the leak before. And I was like, hey, you guys were out here last year around this time and fixed the mobile leak. It was fixed for a while, but now it's leaking again. We need you to come out and, fix it again. And she was like, oh, okay, well, let me look this up real quick. And she goes, oh, yeah, we were out there in 2018. I was like, no, you guys were, that, that was 2018. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. I mean, never before in the course of human history has it been more accurate than Robin Williams meme from Jumanji. What year is it? Oh, that's underrated. I mean, it's not really an underrated movie. It's just kind of like one of those things that got passed over, I think. Particularly with the reboot of the franchise that it was never really intended to be a franchise, but whatever. It's still like,
well, pretty much anything Robin Williams was in was a gold mine. So
yeah, it's just brilliant.
I still don't believe he killed himself.
Really, you don't think Robin Williams killed himself? What's your counter theory?
Well, obviously that he was murdered.
By who?
I don't know. I just refuse to believe that he killed himself. That's as far as I take it. I'm not a weaver of yarn.
So this is not like Epstein, where it's like we all know who killed Epstein.
Oh no, it's just that I just refuse to believe that a man that brought so much joy to so many people hung himself. I refuse to believe that. That is going to be the first question I ask God: Who killed Robin Williams?
You need to really reevaluate your priorities. I'm sorry. That was too easy. but not wrong. I mean, yeah, it was kind of wrong, but at the same time, no. Yeah. Are you still
So
there?
my
You just like dropped into the ether.
yes. So it was like 5 seconds. Calm down.
I mean,
So my father has last minute, not realizing what year it is, apparently,
mm-hmm.
has decided last minute that he wants to go with my sister and I to Disney World next week.
Oh,
And so I am now refreshing the page vigorously, trying to get him a pass so that he can actually go to Disney World.
because he doesn't have the season pass.
Oh no, he has a season pass, but you have to have a park reservation to get into the parks
Ah,
along with your ticket now because of limited capacity.
right.
And so they're all full right now. Um,
Reasonably, this
so
should be peak season, right?
yeah, absolutely,
Particularly not because it's actually
absolutely.
open, as opposed to like three
So,
months ago when it wasn't.
I mean, he can get into Epcot any day he wants to.
They really need to finish that remodel.
Yep.
Like, hey, folks, you closed down the whole park for 3 months. You couldn't focus? No. Sorry. Um,
They just reported their earnings, quote
yeah.
unquote, for the fourth quarter, and they were actually down $2.8 billion.
Yeah, but that was better than the 6.7 billion that thought they were going to be down because they haven't
They laid
released any
everybody
movies.
off.
What?
No, no, this is literally just
Oh,
the
just
parks.
oh, okay.
Just the parks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, because they have no matter if anybody's in the park or not, there is still upkeep that has to be done on the whole park. Hey, this could be a great time to fix the dinosaur ride. Like, there's a lot of things they could do there, but they ain't doing nothing.
Actually, they have uh, um I'm gonna feel stupid saying this, but they have Hank in the Tank out of the tank being repaired right now.
Hank in the tank?
Avatar, the floating avatar that's in the tank as you're going onto the ride.
Okay. His
Apparently they call him Hank in the Tank.
okay.
And he is missing right now, out for a repair.
Alrighty.
I don't know what they're repairing on him, but we
Parts
don't
of
even know that they're repairing him. When somebody asked the cast member, they said that he was out on a walk.
okay. I was having bad thoughts. Um, I'm sorry.
You're always having
We
bad
already
thoughts.
crossed that blue skin line, so I was like, I was trying to get out of there, and my mind just kept going further down that rabbit hole, and there was no coming out. I'm back now, for the most part. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like this weird time dilation effect where it's like the year just seems to be dragging on forever. Like we're all just like, can we just get this over with already? Like even okay, this is controversial, I know, but there's a bunch of people who are already listening to Christmas music just because they want the year to be over with, and and like, yeah, understand. But at the same time, I don't. There's kind of this mentality, I think, that if we can just get into 2021, everything will get better. But I don't actually think that's going to be the case. I know that's very negative. I'm sorry. But I don't think that's actually going to be the case.
So, somebody that I work with that I thought um, was an intelligent being
Oh dear.
um, told our one of our supervisors that COVID's not a thing anymore because the election's over, and they were dead serious.
I mean, that is a joke that's making its way around the internet, but as a joke in a very satirical, non
Yeah, no, He
Yeah,
was 100% dead serious. He said it was stupid that we were still quarantining because there is nothing to quarantine against.
yeah. That's. I mean, my pastor just got diagnosed with COVID like 2 days ago. So definitely disagree with that. Like, let's not get on this because that's going to get political.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is really stupid. We should not have to get political about, and I can't, about a health crisis.
Come on now, Disney. Stop kicking me out. I'm just refreshing your page every 5 seconds.
Give me what I want. Yeah, fun. Anyway, so there's this weird time dilation thing where it seems like the year is dragging on forever, but it's also like I can't believe we're in November already, and I definitely can't believe that we're already 11 and a half years past Avatar, and we're still waiting on a sequel.
Hey, it's coming. 2025, baby.
Hey, I am a one of those like sequel waiter uponers. Like my favorite video game of all time, Beyond Good and Evil, 2003. Still waiting on the sequel. It's never going to happen, but I'm still waiting on the sequel. Like they come out with like this little teaser or something that like every 6 to 9 months or years, whichever one. I forget. Also, time dilation effect. Yeah. But they never like, what was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago they had this big thing like, oh, we're gonna come out with a sequel, and they dropped a bunch of trailers for it, and they did gameplay footage and test footage, and we're gonna drop it on this console, and we're gonna put it on PC, and we're gonna do this. It's gonna be the biggest, bestest open world you ever did see. It's gonna be a prequel rather than a sequel. And I'm like, okay, but I still want to play the game. And here we are, like 18 months past when they said it was going to be out, and we've heard nothing past that initial like just dump of information, and we're not likely to either. So
Yeah, the game I'm waiting on is Evil Genius 2. I didn't know I was going to be waiting on it, but I am. I didn't even realize it was going to be a thing until the end of 2018.
mm-hmm.
And I was super excited about it. It was coming out in early spring of 2020. And then early spring of 2020 hit, and chaos, just mass chaos. So now it's coming out spring of next year, maybe.
Yeah, I just watched The Princess Bride earlier this week, and I feel like Inigo
Of course you
Montoya.
did.
Of course I did, right? And it just that there's so many lines in there that are that are so memorable, and one that gets kind of undercut because it's so basic you don't even think about it, but it's perfectly timed. Just, I hate waiting. I hate waiting. The whole year has just been waiting. I'm tired of waiting. Can we just move? Like, and the thing is, even if we get to the end of the year, the waiting doesn't end. It's still gonna go on. I hate waiting.
Okay, I'm giving up on Disney for right now.
Apparently, you also hate waiting. Uh,
So let's talk about Tuesday.
Talk about Tuesday. I didn't die.
You didn't die.
I mean, technically, I still can die by next week and be on track for my character death rate.
To be fair, you spent 30 minutes talking about going 5 feet, but
I did, or we did.
not you specifically.
Oh yeah, all of us
You,
did.
the group.
Yeah, there was some issues there. They were
mostly just you, the one person.
What do you mean, me, the one person?
Not you, the one person.
Oh,
You, the one person.
oh, gotcha. And the thing is, I think that was a really good experience. Not actually while it was going on, but I think it's a good learning experience. That's a better way to put it for the entire group. kind of like one of the videos I saw from a channel I mentioned before, r/Mr. Ripper, um, or Mr. Ripper on YouTube, and they that's actually where I've been pulling the goat farmer joke from, because there was a party that was on a quest and they decided they were done with the quest and they just started to acquire things as they were going through it to become goat farmers, and they didn't tell the DM. It's like, I'm in the city, I buy this, buy this, buy this. And they like bought land, they bought this, and he's like, okay. And then like they sprung it on him one week. And they're just like, we are now goat farmers. And it was beautiful. And I love it, and that's why I keep bringing it back up, because someday I'm going to pull this off. But I'm not going to tell.
Not with me as DM.
Someday I'll pull this off. And but it's beautiful in all the wrong ways. Anyway, words and things and stuff. Bruh. Trying to come back to this, because I just got wrapped up in being a goat farmer.
Yeah, so you guys spent an hour talking about a dog.
Mm-hmm. No, an owl.
No, it was the dog mostly.
And then we got talking about the owl.
The owl was only about 15 minutes max.
I will be honest, that is one of the most fun 15 minutes I've ever had role-playing.
Yeah. Then you guys walked 6 miles, or sorry, 5.5 miles, and then had a conversation about it for 45 minutes.
Yes.
And then you took another 30 minutes to go a half mile.
Those were not the most fun hour and 15 minutes I spent role-playing.
Then you spent 25 minutes sneaking up on 3 people that didn't have any interest in fighting you.
Which we didn't know.
You didn't know. No, but it took you forever to get to the point.
And considering the death rate of this campaign, I think caution is becoming a bit excessive, or not. I mean, the death rate on this campaign is 50% right now. Not great. At least, actually, you know what? That's just my personal death rate. Take that back.
You're right.
My personal death rate is 50% right now. Like I said,
I'm not gonna lie. When Ducky said in, I think it was session 5, when she said, "I swear, if you kill me again, I'm not making another character."
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was, "Don't tempt me."
Yeah, I knew that was the wrong thing to say as soon as she said it. I'm like, nah, it's not gonna work. That's just gonna end badly for you. Like, if I was the DM, I would take that as a personal challenge.
Oh my goodness. If it had been in the module for things to go down, they would have went down.
Yeah.
Things could have gone down. You guys just did a well enough job that they didn't. Barely. By 1 axe throw.
I'm confused. That seems as though that we missed something.
What? What do you mean?
You said things could have gone down except for 1 axe throw.
Yeah.
What
Oscar threw an axe and killed the guy that was running away to alert people.
Oh. Well, actually, that tells me, in fact, that our out-of-character chat is indeed correct, that there are more people in there, and that Foxy's going to have a lot more opportunity to be useful in the coming week.
That was pertaining to you guys escaping. And yeah.
Oh, okay.
2 sessions ago.
Okay, I'm confused, but yes, gotcha. Very good.
Yeah, yeah. So I would never give you spoilers.
I got in trouble for that
Did you?
with Mumbles.
About
Giving spoilers?
giving spoilers.
Yes, I
How
have.
about for Friday?
Yeah, I have inadvertently given spoilers to a couple people that I wasn't supposed to give, that I wasn't thinking of as spoilers, but it's questionable. They're kind of like riding the line on spoiler territory.
What, the fact that you have lines?
No, not that. And apparently I don't anymore. Darn it.
He just kicked you out.
I show up. He's like, okay, can you be here at this time? Okay, I got there I actually got there like a half an hour early, and I'm just waiting. And I'm like,
we started over an hour late.
I got that, and then I'm like, okay, so, and I know it's like 10 o'clock bedtime. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna happen. Then it just like moves forward past 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen. And I joined the call on mute. I'm ready to do this, and just hit the button, and then he just like blows right past where I'm supposed to have lines here, and I'm like, oh. Why am I here? Mumbles. That's twice that's happened now. Not with him. But that happened with Friendly's campaign a couple weeks ago. They were supposed to when they were supposed to fight Tarad, which that one actually worked out pretty well in that regard, because they were up to that point, and like it was like that was the next thing that was going to happen. And it was kind of like enough time so they could have like 15-20 minutes to do the fight, and then the fight ended up lasting like 2 hours. 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I mean it worked out. But people keep messaging me. This is not the time for that. I'm supposed to be podcasting.
Yeah, Mumbles was messaging me earlier about Mando.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. Right now we're still on Tuesday.
Later. Yes.
And
a little Friday.
Like there's a lot of overlap right now. The thing is, after going through, because I was there, let me. Oh, darn it. After sitting through the 2.5 hours of exposition,
2.5 hours of exposition.
Yeah, all the like 15-minute backstories as to how you got to the far reaches.
Oh yeah, it's not really exposition.
I mean, it really is exposition. That's
it's role play.
I know,
exposition,
but it's
exposition is Mumbles talking to us nonstop without us having any say. That's not what happened.
From a film perspective,
narration.
From a film perspective,
well, this isn't a film. This is D&D.
I approach everything from a film perspective. It's exposition.
I know, and that is so wrong.
I know. I don't care.
It's not exposition because there was a back and forth.
All right. Anyway, but anyway, sitting through that, I'm not saying that is exposition in the bad sense. I was saying that in a very, very good sense. I really liked that.
Exposition at all, so.
And I'm like sitting through it. I'm like, man, I really wish I didn't have things going on Friday night so I could actually just be a part of this campaign, because this is amazing. I really like what he's doing with this.
Absolutely.
It really shows how intensive he's been in building this world, and how intensive he's going to be and continuing to build it, because he's already built the world. He's already written the novels and everything like that, but he's going so much farther beyond it to make sure that you guys are properly incorporated into it as living, breathing characters within his mythos. So that is very interesting. And I really appreciated that. And like I said, now I'm kind of upset that I'm not a proper character, although I am very much looking forward to spoilery things that are not available for discussion at this point, because I've already gotten in trouble for that, which is probably why he hasn't talked to me all week. That's not entirely true, but it's mostly true. Like, I had to wait until Friday to get any kind of background on the character that I was supposed to play that I didn't end up playing. Because he's like, you're going to drop this. I'm like, I'm not going to drop nothing. Anyway, be that as.
I don't know what these spoilers are that you know now.
They are basically nothing. Basically. But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Tuesday. Anyway, getting back to what we were kind of on before we got off on like 4 different rabbit trails, all about D&D. The words in my head, please come forward out of my mouth. The interaction that we had that took way too long, like 4 different times on Tuesday, I think that did actually lead up into a good point where we could be like, hey, we as players need to make an adjustment. Not you as the DM saying, hey, y'all need to figure this out, but like we as players like, hey, we need to do better on this.
I was going to confront her after the session, and then Foxy just comes out. I was like, okay,
well,
this could happen now. That's fine.
Like Foxy was actually messaging me like 2 hours into the session about like, are we really doing this? I'm like, just wait for it. Just wait for it. We're going to get through the session. We can talk about this later. And I could like feel frustration from Mumbles. I could feel frustration from Monkey. And I'm like, okay, this is escalating. We need to deal with this. But I don't want to just like stop roleplay to do it. There's a time when there's a place. And then Foxy's like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, this. So I background on me. I am, for better or worse, generally worse, someone who does a lot of youth work, youth ministry, youth counseling, a bunch of things like that in my IRL existence. And so I'm like, a young person has a chance for growth. Let's encourage him to have a chance for growth. And like, so I just kind of like prodded him a little bit. And then like, as soon as you cut it off, he's like, we need to talk. And I'm like, yes, success. And he just like lays in. I'm like, okay, he might need to dial this back a little bit, but on the whole.
No, not at all. I was like, go.
But on the whole,
get her.
If we could get him to do this in role play, like in character,
or
like,
just in general life.
That too. I mean, yes, like I said, multiple things. He was doing it in real life, and I'm like, yes, this is what we're looking for.
Well, he does it behind closed doors,
right?
Is what he does.
And so now he has a chance to be a man. And yes, my voice did get deeper for this, but
that was the whole reason that Ducky blew up on me that one time. Is because he went and messaged her directly. So,
yeah.
No, if you have a problem with somebody, face it head on head.
Yes.
Do it.
And so.
But yeah. So immediately after it was the session was over with, Mumbles messaged me. He said, "I apologize for being testy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a long day." And I said, "No worries." He said, "I just can't stand being micromanaged or being called an idiot."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "You better believe it. Just walk away next time. She'll eventually learn that she's not the boss." And he said, "I walked away every time. She just kept going." I said, "We're having a talk with her right now."
Mm-hmm. Like, and that was actually one of the best reactions. Like, he reacted to that in character perfectly. He's like, "I crush his head with my hammer." I'm like, yes. It was beautiful. Mumbles, if you're listening, and even if you're not, that was beautiful. I love that so much.
Oh, yes. He said, "I would like to hit this person with my hammer." And I was like, okay.
Oh.
I'm all for violence.
And you say you were supposed to not murder hobo our way through this campaign.
That was murder hoboing. Murder hoboing is killing the quest giver. This is the quest. If you guys had killed Leosin, that would be murder hoboing.
It might still be on the table. Just so we can figure out the difference between him and the mayor by voice.
Hey, shut your mouth.
Oh, that was so good. I'm sorry. I cracked myself up on that one, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
That was good.
And I tried to give Monkey the play-by-play, but there was just so much going on that I couldn't keep. Like he came back because he told his YouTube, "Hey, goodbye," and that took a while. When he came back, it had already been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "What did I miss?" And I said, "You missed the greatest thing I've ever witnessed."
Oh, it was beautiful. I like
My favorite was when she said, "Sorry, I'm coming off meds," and I said, "For the past 7 sessions?"
mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's it was good. And the thing is, this is a growing experience for everybody. I think, like I said, I think this is going to make us better as a group. I think this is going to make us better in the campaign. I think this is going to help move things along a lot. And like I said, personal development moment for Foxy. I am always a fan of that.
Yeah.
This is
he's slow to learn, but we'll get him there eventually.
say this was something I got messaged about earlier this week with somebody else, and they were talking about some of their early roleplay experiences, and they're like, this is an opportunity for me to really kind of exercise parts of my personality that are typically repressed, that are definitely a part of me, but because I know that they are unfavorable in a lot of circumstances, they just kind of bury them deeply. And they're like, well, now I have an opportunity to let this part of me kind of come out. And it's like, number one, it's a lot of fun. Number two, now I know why I've repressed that part of myself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tuesday plays out.
I think we're going to have
sure.
a much more cohesive group. I think it's going to be really good. Really, really, and see, in the broader sense, this is. I mean, even that could be considered to be a type of role play. I mean, it's really good because it does kind of. It took one person dramatically out of their normal comfort zone. It put another person really outside of their normal comfort zone because they weren't expecting to get called on that at all. And then they're like, oh, the things that I do and say are having real world consequences. I need to reevaluate my position. This is a good thing. Yeah, fun. I thoroughly enjoyed Tuesday. Just again, especially who and what and who.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed. Did you actually get to listen to everybody's
Yeah,
intro?
I got everybody's intro. I was there early enough. I was there that whole time waiting for my shot.
So how did you like Leosin? Not Leosin. I just said Leosin. How'd you like Leoric?
Have you considered naming your characters that start with different letters?
Hey, I didn't name Leosin. Thank you.
Oh, right. Okay. I just assume,
I'm not even sure. Let's go look at my list of characters.
Say Leoric, he's good. I'm trying to remember which of like 8 characters is it that he is. He's the Furbolg. Like
yes,
the first
the Furbolg.
Like he's gonna have some serious balancing issues. We think we have balancing issues on Sundays. Mumbles is going to have some serious balancing issues.
I tried to tell him. I was like, dude, you keep inviting. Why?
It's like, I need more people. I'm like, nope, you really don't,
dude. This is your first. This is your first big deal as a DM. You don't trust me. I have trouble managing 6 people.
Mm-hmm. Of which only half are usually there.
Yes, and they are all experienced and know what they're doing.
Except for one.
Yeah, Micro's getting there though.
Oh. By the way, you're welcome
Oh,
for my not posting that video in a public setting where particularly the Tuesday crowd could get an eye on it. Because I'm
I
quite
haven't even
sure.
watched it.
Oh, you should definitely watch it. It's really good, but like for people who want to rules lawyer outside of the rules, it is um it is an issue because they're going to be like, well, why can't I hit people who are more than 5 feet away from me? I can totally do that. Remember, here's my video to prove it. Yeah, that's an issue. Although I am very interested now, and you'll when you see the movie, assuming you're going not the movie when you see the video, which I'm assuming you're going to see the video because it is very entertaining, and it does bring out some very interesting ideas in terms of like expanding role play. He's built an entire role play rules engine around his ideas and concepts which he brings forth, which he wasn't really trying to like bring out. But it's like, hey, if I'm already here, why not just tell you about it? And they're in an alpha version right now, and they're trying to move it forward into a beta version. And he even explains a little bit more about why why that might be a better role play suited gameplay style than some other things, which I tend to agree with him on because it also doesn't make sense to me why some things you can not do in D&D, which like you could absolutely do in real life. And he even has
once again, D&D is not real life.
I get that, but he's created a rules engine where some of those real life things could be implemented, and so I find that a very interesting idea. I do, however, think it would definitely mess with balancing on a lot of encounters because the D&D rules are built for those kind of balances. I'd be interested to see how he rebalances it, because when you take what he presents and you apply it to a D&D-esque type of setting, it's like, well, now your party's combat value has just at least tripled. You think you have balancing issues now. Yeah. But I mean, there is a little bit of a pushing back and forth. But so yeah, it's just kind of an interesting idea. I want to look at his rule set and see what he's got. He puts everything out there for free. For those who are not aware, I'm not going to post the video in particular, but I will post his channel in the Discord, because I really appreciate what he does. And if people want to go further and look it up, they are certainly capable of doing that. I just don't want to get masters mad at me about that. Other things, sure, but I don't want to get masters mad at me about providing opportunities for people to argue about things that they are already arguing about without having a semi-authoritative source to point towards.
It has zero authoritative source because that's not the system we're playing in.
Well, that's why it's a logical fallacy. You cannot make an argument as an appeal to authority. It doesn't work. But it's still kind of a cool idea. So I'm just posting his channel in my Discord. Folks who are interested should check him out anyway, because he is very intelligent. He has a lot of cool videos, and for anyone who has any kind of interest in role play, in really anything at all, of a medieval swords and magic type of thing, he is a great resource to go to just learn a couple things and try and come up with different methods that might work out if your DM is generous. Apparently that ain't the case here, but no. Yes. Anyway, so that's fun. His channel's available. You can figure out which video it is if you're halfway intelligent. Anyway.
Or if you're in Monkey's Discord.
But there will not be a link to Monkey's Discord, so you have to deal with mine. Because there will be a link to that, as there always is. Let's see.
I'm very excited to get further into Leoric's. Like, I'm excited for the first fight, because as far as everybody else knows, Leoric is just this tree hugging druid that just yes ma'am, just a southern boy. and it's gonna be
Just a
it's
good
gonna be
old
fun.
boy.
It's
Never
gonna be
meaning no
fun when we have
harm.
that first fight, and they're gonna be like, you're doing your what now?"
Says me curious. What is he going to do, my fender?
I can't tell you, just in case.
Oh, that's right. People. There are people who listen to the podcast. You tell me after. You have to tell me offline.
Oh, I'm not telling you any at all, ever.
Darn it.
You have to watch it and find out.
Wee! This could be interesting.
I need to go back and rewatch last night's session because I almost basically tuned out after my part because technically Leoric doesn't know it,
Right.
but Masters wants to know it. So.
Right. That was one of the things that I saw. I saw a video today about, and I was tempted to send it to person from Tuesday, who I guess we can already. I guess have we mentioned who it was on Tuesday, or have we been off? Yeah. Okay. I thought about sending it to Ducky. It was from Ginny D, who I think you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I saw that. I sent it to Monkey, and he says, "I almost posted that," and I was like. Yeah, but I can't post it. You send it to her.
I thought about it, but like at the end, she's like, "Now don't send this to people," and I'm like, "But I kind of want to."
You should have sent it before you got to that part.
Yeah,
then you wouldn't have it on your conscience.
Or just sent it before I saw it and been like, "Oh, I just didn't watch it yet." But I can almost, and it's not like I'm trying to point this out to anyone. Don't pay any attention to the fact that I only sent it to you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and there's another one that let me pull it up, and I will put this one in because it's not directly. It's how to speed up combat.
Yeah, I heard about this, but I didn't. But like Mumbles didn't send the link for it. He just mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would like to know.
I went looking for it. Copy link address. Boom.
Like I would,
and it has some stuff in there that, yeah.
Like I would like to know.
This would benefit a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah. I really wanted to know this, so thank you for posting this. I will watch this probably tonight because I'm very interested. Well, maybe not tonight, but at least like before Tuesday, because I am very interested in this because I think they're like half the time in combat.
Yeah.
It's like you're just waiting for your turn, and then you like. What typically happens with me is like I create a scenario in my mind like, okay, I'm going to do this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this. And by the time it gets to round 2, that entire plan is out the window. Because everything that I would have been doing is no longer viable because somebody else already beat me to it.
Yep.
And so it's a challenge. And so I don't know if this is addressed in that video, but
it is.
That's very good. And actually, this is one of the things that I saw mentioned before. I'm trying to remember. Have you seen anything from XP to level 3 on YouTube?
Probably.
I don't really. I don't know how to describe him without being rude, because I am a rude person. Yeah, I'll just post it. I'll just post a link to his channel and people can figure it out.
Oh yes,
yeah.
I have watched. He's a moron.
He's a moron, but he's intelligent. I like some of the stuff that he does. One of his
I like it too. He's still a moron.
He is a moron.
He's the kind of moron that I would hang out with.
Yeah, I would love to be at one of his tables, just for like a one shot. That would be amazing. He seems like incredibly fun to role play with. But one of the things that he does, one of his house rules, is at the start of the round they have a planning initiative where everybody says what they're going to do, and then they just
Yeah,
kind of run through it. And I think
I kind of want to do that some.
that actually sounds to me like a really good idea, because then you don't have, you know, oh, I was going to do that and now it's my turn and I don't know what I'm going to do at this point because
Yeah,
so and so just did this and now I don't know what I'm going to do.
yeah,
Because
and they addressed that in that video as well, where he there it's like all of this combat happens in 6 seconds.
yeah.
If this were to be, an actual 6 second thing, then you don't have time to go, oh, well, that person killed that. So now I've got to go look back through my spell list to see if I'm going to do this instead. It's
Hmm.
like, no, you don't have that. It's like you go to do it. And if that person's dead, then, oh, that person's already dead. It doesn't matter what you did.
Right.
Uh, it's like you just move on. And boy, I imagine in my head, um, rolling initiative, starting at the top of the round, and the fighter and the paladin and the rogue are going around just killing everybody, and the wizard is sitting there going, "I attack, I attack, I attack, I." Okay, they're all dead now. Good job, guys.
Well, or it's like the one that where did
Or
Sam,
or it's like fireball. Oh crap! You guys were supposed to be over there.
where did Sass send it to me? Because I'm pretty sure it was Sass who sent it to me. Um, somewhere I will find it. Irrelevant. Yeah, here it is. um, yeah. So I'm gonna repost this down here. Sass posted it in one of my other channels on my Discord, but it's just appropriate. So it's like the wizard. I didn't ask how big the room was. I said I cast fireball.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's totally a thing. It definitely happened. Move on. Now I could see like being able to change targets in 6 seconds because, I mean, assuming these are competent fighters, which you would hope they would be, I have definitely seen enough like professional and non-professional shooters who are able to do a lot of things very, very quickly. And assuming that, oh dear, why is she doing this in here? I don't know. Anyway, that's weirdness. Assuming that people who are competent would be something similar to not even professionally trained shooters, but just people who are competent with their weapons, I could see being able to do the same spell but changing targets in under 6 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
that's totally a thing that could happen. Which again kind of goes back to this. I didn't ask how big the room was. I said I cast fireball.
Yeah.
I didn't ask where the rogue was. I said I cast fireball. If he's going to move into the range, that's his problem, kind of thing. But yeah, I can definitely see that being a case where it's like, okay, you just decide on your action, you're going to do it, and if your target changes, that's one thing, as opposed to being like, okay, well, now that they're not there, it's almost like we need a chess timer for rounds where you like have so many seconds, and if you can't come up with your action, then you lose your turn.
Oh, yeah. I've been very lenient with you guys for the past however many sessions, or 7 sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been saying this since the beginning. Once you guys hit level 5, training wheels are off, and there will be no more of this. Hey, well, I don't know what I want to do. I was gonna do this, but then they did this, so let me look through. It's like, okay, you wait. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, you dodge. Next person. There will be no more of this waiting on you to figure out what you want to do.
Are you gonna at least gonna wait for me to Foundry to pick up what my role was? Because Foundry doesn't like me.
I think you just don't know what you're doing.
I will screen share with you and show you that Foundry does not like my rolls at all. Like I set it up exactly the way I want it. I press roll, and it's like, no, you didn't roll. It expends the spell slot on my character sheet, but it doesn't roll the die. And then I have to go back in, redo the thing, unclick, consume spell slot, and I think that's like the stopgap. If I consume the spell slot, it doesn't roll. If I don't, it does. It's the weirdest thing. And it's been happening ever since we started using Foundry. So I don't know if that's a glitch, if it's only me. I don't know. But so far that has been my experience. And it's like, it's not a terrible thing. Like, I know now to expect it, but at the same time it's getting a little frustrating to be like, okay, here we go again. Fortunately, right now I'm using a character that doesn't have any spell slots, so it's not that big an issue on Tuesdays. Sundays are still a problem.
Okay, so I think we have dredged out the D&D as not as much as we could, but for long enough.
Okay.
Would you like to move on to Mando?
Yeah.
Oh, before we start on Mando,
Yes.
I jokingly made a joke. Oh,
I mean, that's typically how you make a joke.
But it's going to be good content.
Okay.
I jokingly made the joke to J Seed, the other Star Wars nerd.
Okay.
In my life, one of the other. I jokingly made the joke the other day. He said something, and I responded with, "Oh, go back to defending Episode 9 of the Star Wars saga."
That's
and he said, he said, Episode 8 is better than Episode 9. I will stand and die on that hill.
Ooh. I would like to have some context on this, and I would like to set up.
That was all the context he gave me. We were talking in somebody else's Twitch chat, and he just he said, and I quote, "Episode 8 is better than Episode 9. I will die on that hill." That was all he said about it.
Okay. That's.
And okay, as soon as he said that, my thought was, if we do have guests, he's going to be one of them, and it's going to be a 100% Star Wars episode.
Like he and I would really like to hear his reasoning on this. I'm not saying that I disagree. I would like confirmation that he also views Episode 8 as a completely garbage movie, and definitely does not really qualify as a Star Wars film. But I would like to hear his reasoning on this, because depending on it, we may be able to come to an understanding on that one. As much as that pains me to say. Because from a strictly, and I do mean absolutely strictly visual standpoint, I think that is a potentially viable place to come from, as a potentially viable position to take. Potentially. Begrudgingly. You could take that position. You could also take that position because of the new idea that was presented with the kind of forced interaction that happens with Rey and Kylo Ren. That is presented there. That is a brand new Force idea. I like that idea. I wish that they had done anything substantial with it in Episode 9 other than use it as a MacGuffin. Or not even a MacGuffin, as a Deus Ex Machina to move the plot along so that, Kylo Ren didn't get his butt sawed off by the Knights of Ren. Also, why aren't they just on his side? They are the Knights of Ren. They are on his side. Leaving that go. Also begrudgingly. I think he may be correct. Possibly. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that I enjoy either of those two films or as Star Wars movies. Specifically as Star Wars movies. I actually, you know what? I think I've said this before. Episode 8 could work as a movie if it were not Star Wars. And yes, I am on the record as saying that, so I'm going to stand by that. Episode 8 could work as a movie if it weren't Star Wars, but because it is Star Wars, it makes no sense!
Question.
Okay.
If Dave Filoni came out in support of the new trilogy, 7, 8, and 9,
Mm-hmm.
what would your reaction be?
I would say that I'm very happy that Disney is paying him so well.
You think that would be the only reason he would say that?
No, but that would be my first default answer. Because he's in a tough spot right now, I think. I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and all the other people who are actually making good Star Wars content are in a very difficult position. I think that they are all generally of the same mentality that George Lucas is on the sequel trilogy, where he regrets his decision to sell it to Disney. But I also think that they are in a position where it has been sold to Disney, and Disney right now, in whatever limited capacity, are allowing certain people to make good Star Wars content. And as they are the people who are making good Star Wars content, and the fact that they like the series and they like the trilogy and they're not trying to just tear the whole thing up, which again was the whole point of episode 8, which I think is wrong, and a terrible decision to make. Creatively, narratively, story-wise, character-wise, the whole thing, I think it's a terrible decision to make. That's already been covered. I think that they're in a position where, as they want good Star Wars content to continue to come out, they have to play nice with Disney in order to be able to continue to make that happen. So I would not be at all surprised if Dave Filoni is already on record somewhere as saying that he likes the sequel trilogy. But I would question his sincerity, and I think if pressed on the subject, he would have very few story beats that he would agree with. Beyond just being able to say, oh, I like it. I think if he was actually pressed on, like, well, what do you like about it? Do you like the narrative that was created for episode 8? Do you like how it was completely just dropped in episode 9? Do you like the fact that they set up a bunch of things in episode 7 which never paid off in any sort of meaningful manner or at all? Do you like the fact that episode 9 was apparently written without an actual script? They just started filming and like halfway through, like, oh, you know what? Why don't we make Palpatine the villain? Which was absolutely what happened.
Would it surprise you to know that that's how Frozen happened as well?
No. That would not surprise me in the slightest. I went into Frozen wanting Elsa to be the new best Disney villain of all time. And I mean, it takes a lot in my mind to knock off Judge Claude Frollo because he is amazing. And he is still the undefeated greatest Disney villain of all time. And I will fight anyone who says Scar is better physically.
Oh, I guarantee that 90% of the world's population don't even know who you're talking about.
I don't care.
Okay, moving on. Mando.
You opened this box.
2.
You opened this box of worms.
I know. Now I'm closing it. Mando episode 2. Season 2.
Season 2, episode 2. Also, by the way, has a fantastic Dave Filoni cameo.
Does it? What?
He's one of the X-Wing pilots.
I wasn't even paying that close of attention.
You need to rewatch episode 2.
I was too busy closing my eyes, okay? Episode 2 of Mando Season 2 is the worst episode ever. And I don't even have a spider phobia.
Why do you not?
Oh, by the way, spoilers, if that wasn't clear.
you know, your reaction tells me otherwise. I'm throwing in the picture of his cameo. There we are. Bam. Dave Filoni, X-Wing pilot.
I would have never seen that as Dave Filoni.
Like
ever.
Oh, that's Dave Filoni. It was great. Like I saw articles written about it after the fact, but I'm like, oh, yeah, that's totally Dave Filoni. I don't know why this was ever like. Was anyone surprised by this? And then it was like, oh yeah,
surprised? No. I guess notice it.
I guess people don't actually know who Dave Filoni is. I don't know. Like, what's wrong with you people? How do you not know who Dave Filoni is? Anyway,
even you saying that, I don't see it.
I have a very great like look in the Discord. I just posted pictures.
I know. I'm looking at it. I even knowing that, I still would not say that's Dave Filoni. I'm positive it is because you say it is, but
oh man, you guys are just wrong. I am just really yeah. So again, it's bias. I know things. This is one of those things that I know. I am actually kind of curious as to who the other X-Wing pilot is, though. I didn't think about that because he also seemed like he was a very cameo type of. Oh, I wonder if that's who it is.
So, I actually picked up on a cameo that I didn't. Well, I don't even know that it was a cameo, but I recognized the actor and thought that he was in another Star Wars movie. He's not.
Uh-huh.
But this is episode 3, so we'll get to that here in a moment.
Okay. A second, I gotta find this here because, yeah, I'm just having this extreme idea. Okay, the passenger. There we go. Default cast. Dave Filoni is Trapper Wolf.
Oh, Paul Sung-Hung Lee.
Yeah, he seems like he's been in something that I like. He just seems like he would be some sort of cameo there, and I don't know who he would be. Like he seems like a reference that I should be getting, but I don't.
He's in one episode of Dark Matter.
Mm.
He was in RoboCop.
Yeah, Covert Affairs. That's what I've seen.
He was in. I forget how to say that, but XIII, the series.
13.
I forget how they used to say that.
13.
Well, I'm aware it's 13, but wasn't that a like an action movie and they called it something weird?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't like. He may have just
X. Maybe is what I was thinking of.
What? He was in triple. No, XIII is 13. No. Yeah, triple X is something totally else.
I realized that after I said it.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah, I don't see anything that.
Yeah. He seems like a very cameo-y type of appearance.
And it's the same thing for the other guy that's in episode 3 that I will point out to you when the time comes.
We'll get there. Anyway, but yeah,
go ahead and get his stuff ready so that I can tell you who it is.
I'm already working on that. Anyway. Okay. Ooh.
So, yeah, I absolutely hated it. There was nothing about it I liked other than the visuals, except for the visuals.
Okay, so you keep saying you don't like it. Explain to me why you don't like it. Give me reasons.
No, traumatic experience. That's the reason.
Was it the fact that you didn't? I mean, one of the things that kind of took me out of it, I liked the practicality of it, but the frog costume was kind of like, you know, it was okay. I almost wish that they had done a little bit of like CGI smoothing on that because it was a totally practical costume, which was cool and well done. But we're at the point now where we're getting a lot of this combination practical and CGI. I mean, from a practical sense, they probably spent all of their effects budget on episode 1, which is still...
absolutely. I mean, I loved everything about the practical effects and the costuming. That
Hmm.
was one thing I did. I did not like any of. Nope, just nope. I don't even want to think about it.
Well, we're going there because this is the can of worms that you wanted to talk about last week, and I wasn't prepared for.
Yep.
Now I'm prepared.
Let's skip to episode 3 because I can talk
Nope,
about that.
nope. We're good. We're here. We're talking about this. So
You talk and I'll pretend to listen.
okay, I will talk about them in a way that does not directly reference what they are, but I would say that in canon, this may have been a little bit of an issue for Star Wars, and that's kind of a thing that I'm a little surprised actually to see from Dave Filoni, because the creatures in question are endemic to a particular planet, and this is not the planet.
It is not.
So that is a bit of an issue for me. Now there's probably a explanation for it, and I have seen other creatures like this that have popped up in expanded universe books.
Who's to say that they only happen on that one planet?
Well, that's precisely the point.
They didn't pop on a ship. And
actually, I wish I had my Star Wars book collection here, because I think these spiders. Sorry, that I said it. I think they actually date back to a very totally lost series of expanded universe books. Solo. Books. Let me see. Star Wars books about Anakin Solo, Legends Expanded. Like, these are really, really, really old. The Junior Jedi Knight series. I think these actually date back to those. They do. Holy crap. I just pulled Star Wars lore out of my butt. This is amazing. Sorry. So these are actually really, really old creatures. Like, these are from, how old is this book? Learn more. Yes. What year was this? I don't know. 1997. So that's how far back these things go. And that's pretty amazing. And these were on Dagobah. So apparently they are kind of endemic life that just pops up around the galaxy. So I guess that does make more sense. But also kind of cool. I cannot believe as I was explaining to you, I'm like, suddenly this book cover, which I posted in the Discord, just popped in my head, which depicts Anakin and his friend Tahiri and their discovered Jedi Master friend, Master Ikrit, and R2-D2, and then one of these creatures, which Masters doesn't like the name of, because apparently he's arachnophobic. We're just going to get that out there.
I'm not an arachnophobe. These are not arachnids. They only have 6 legs. Thank you.
In fact, if you look at the picture, you'll notice that they do, in fact, have 8 legs.
Not on the pictures online.
Okay, so you have insectophobia. Deal with it, or not insectophobia. What's the name of it?
I have cracanophobia.
Entomophobia.
I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know how to spell it.
Entomophobia.
How to say it.
This fear of insects. What is it? How do you spell it?
Krykna.
Caracophobia? Caracan? I don't know. Crycnophobia.
Krykna.
Yeah. Okay, so that one does have, but that's actually not the same creature. That's not it.
It is.
No, it's not. Look at so the creature that I was talking about is clearly depicted on the thing. Okay, we're doing it. All right. Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2. All right, here we go. And the creatures from from the episode are clearly the ones that I have depicted, not the ones that you are showing. Because look at the mouth.
Yes, I'm looking at it. They're still called the same thing.
Like, it's a totally different creature. And even in the picture that I just posted up from the episode, you can see that the 8th leg is there behind it. The 8th legs are behind it. Okay, so the Krykna. Is that what they're called? That's actually lore that I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The picture that the original picture I sent is actually a picture of what one looked like from the Star Wars Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Where they had to fight them off.
Yeah. Or actually, in fact, the way to get past the Krykna is to not fight them off, as we've discovered in Star Wars Rebels. But that's a spoiler, perhaps. Sorry. Too late.
No. They had the things.
The things.
The sound emitter thing.
No. So when you get into the final season of Rebels,
yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. I'm just saying, the way to defeat them was to not actually defeat them.
Well, it's to have a calm mind,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
Which apparently you would not have in their presence.
Yeah, they attack things that fear them for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a weird thought.
Or apparently that eat them. Although I do say I appreciate their bringing these things into in-world canon, like
I don't,
or like into like the real world, because I thought that was a really good way of bridging some gaps.
Nope.
Apparently, I'm looking at it. It looks like they're kind of a non-defined species. Like certain parts of them, like there are the ones that have like the very pronounced mandibles, like the ones from Rebels, and then there's other ones that have like just the gaping maw kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that might be okay. So this is getting really nerdy. The Force in Star Wars can affect the development of species. I wonder if these might be like subsets of that species, with the ones with the larger mandibles being like those affected by the light side of the Force versus the ones being affected by the dark side being the ones who actually have like the multitude, the maw. That'd be kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is nerdy. All right, episode 3.
But we're not done, because people were upset about episode 2 because Baby Yoda kept eating her eggs.
That was the funniest thing.
They're like, you can't do that. I'm like, he did it. Deal with it.
Yeah,
I thought
he did it.
I thought it was
hilarious.
I thought it was like cheap comedy, but I was still into it. But
yeah.
But at the same time, like, yeah, okay, I can understand why. But at the same time, like, what kid, especially one is yeah.
People eat escargot all the time.
That's not actually frog, and the escargot is snails. You're thinking of.
You mean what I know.
You mean
what I know.
You're now I can't remember what the name.
Caviar.
Caviar. There we go. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of.
You mean what I know. You hush your mouth.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. And so yeah, caviar is a thing, but caviar is from fish, not from frogs.
Daggone it.
But yeah, I'm like, okay, if you're gonna be nitpicky about it, but I'm gonna be honest, anyone who's really freaking out about it should just get over themselves, because it happened, it's fictional, move on with your life. It's not going to affect your day. At least it shouldn't. If you are allowing it to affect your day, you're clearly have not enough things going on in your life that actually matter. Ooh, I want to tweet that now. If you're allowing Baby Yoda's eating eggs to affect you, the rest of your life doesn't matter. That's the main message to take away from this podcast episode. Oh yeah, that was really good. Again, this was kind of like a meh episode. to me. Like, it didn't
More
really
like a episode.
like the
Okay, let me say it this way. As someone in JC's chat pointed out,
Mhm.
and I also agreed, and some of you, probably a lot of you that listen, may know him as Permanoob. He said, I just finished episodes, and it seems like they were just dragging things out. It seemed to me like they introduced so much stuff in every episode in the first season. This one just seemed to be moving slower. I didn't, it wasn't a bad episode, but I just finished it wanting more. And I said, I believe that was the point. And he said, okay, how about that? I say it this way. When it was finished, I said, that was it.
yeah. Um, that's very that's very accurate.
I mean, especially after episode 1, episode 2 was just like, oh, okay,
yeah.
that was an episode.
It in a lot of TV shows, there's this idea of a filler episode,
Yeah,
and I feel like this was kind of just a filler episode, unless they're going to do something that, unless they have, I mean, and the thing is, they are writing these entire seasons as one complete kind of story.
yeah.
And then like things would get dropped in later on.
I fully expect the interaction with those two X-wing pilots is going to come back.
Right.
Something about that interaction is going to come up later in the season.
But at the same time, they almost contradicted themselves, because at the beginning they're like, hey, this is the ship that did this and that and the other, and we're going to try and shoot you down or escort you back to, Rebel base, whatever it is. And then at the end they're like, oh yeah, well, we discovered that, this, and hey, your ship crashed and we're going to help you out and do all this, and then we're just going to leave. And I'm like, that felt like a big nothing, unless it's going to come back later, which it probably will. But I mean, like that in particular, so you guys are saying that between when you were chasing the ship and when you found the ship after it had crashed and been attacked and yada yada yada, between then and now, you discovered new information that you didn't have before. What?
Yeah, they said they ran his plates, or whatever the equivalent of that in Star Wars is. I forget what the words they actually said, but basically they ran his plates and got the full information.
Yeah. But it's like,
before it was just, hey, you're not transponding. Do your transponder thing.
Yeah.
Make it work. But then they actually ran the information on his stuff and was like, oh, this is this guy.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to pull him over because he was a criminal or anything. They were pulling him over because, he didn't have his license plate on the back of his car.
Right. Which is the most accurate way to describe that, but I still just like, there's something in me that's just like disagreeing with that terminology. Anyway,
you just hate that I explained Star Wars things without using Star Wars words.
Yes. But anyway, it's totally accurate, but I hate it.
Sir, I'm going to need you to pull over. Your license plate is hanging off, and we cannot read it.
Anyway.
Oh, sorry. I'll fix that right away, sir. Yes, fixing that now. We'll wait.
But I mean, like, they knew who he was. They knew what he had done at that point in the beginning of the episode.
Not in the beginning, they didn't.
Well, that's the whole point. What changed? He was only down there for like 12 hours, tops.
They looked up his record. They said that at the end of the episode.
But they also said that at the beginning of the episode. We're like, okay, we looked up your episode. They looked it up. They said, this is the vessel that did this at this prison, how this person escaped, and this and that and the other.
Yes, they said that at the end of the episode. They never said at the beginning.
They didn't?
No. Like I said, they were literally following him because he didn't have his code transmitting.
But then he turned the transmitter on, and they dropped back. And when they and in flight, which they were technically in space, they were in flight. When armed vehicles drop back behind another vehicle that is flying, it is because they are getting themselves in a position to attack that vehicle. And so, in that regard, because they didn't specifically, how do I put this? Identify. It was an aggressive move, so he was justified, from our perspective, being like, we want him to succeed in what he's doing. He's the main character. He was justified his actions to try and get away because we know all the extenuating circumstances. We didn't know at that time that those guys also had access to that information, which I think they did. And I guess because they didn't, I guess because he reacted more quickly, than rather than just try and like talk things out with them, he just kind of reacted. He's a man of action, as it were. I think they escalated things beyond what they needed to. So I will retract. He did not have to try and run from them. He could have talked it out. This was one of those player tells NPC to roll for initiative kind of things. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to listen to it now, but you're rambling a lot.
I know I'm rambling, but if you're not talking, I got to fill a space. That's how podcasts work here. Yeah, I don't think they actually I don't think they actually identified themselves as yeah.
So they say, we're going to need you to send us a ping.
Uh-huh.
And he says, I don't think I have that online yet. And they said, we can wait.
Yeah. And
then eventually he goes, oh, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he sends it to them. And that's when he says, switch over to channel 2.
And then they drop back.
Yeah. And this is what they said. They said, we can't confirm you're not Imperial. Please follow us back to the Delta
base or whatever. It doesn't wherever they were saying to take him to, it doesn't matter.
But the only reason they said that was because they can't verify that he's not Imperial.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were going to escort him back to get the full run on the thing. And so I'm assuming that during the time where they were looking for him, they ran all of the information and got all the information on him, and that's when they came back. It was like, hey,
I mean,
you wanted for this, but you also did this, so clean wipe.
I think a more intelligent play on his part. I mean, if it was a role play kind of thing, which apparently we're doing a lot of overlap tonight, a more intelligent thing on his part would have been like, hey, you can see I have 3 life forms on board. That might have been an interesting conversation. My son.
Well, no, because apparently they don't have life sign detectors on X-Wings or something. Because
that's not true.
Because part of it, she starts arousing. He's like, shut up, trying to get her to be quiet. And they say, what was that? And he was like, oh, that was my coolant,
Yeah, I know.
Equalizing.
I know what he did, but they absolutely have life sign detectors on X-Wings. In episode 5, when Luke is coming in on Dagobah, R2 is very concerned about the amount of life signs they're seeing on Dagobah. And he's like, this seems like it's going to kill us. And he's like, I know there's a lot of life down there. Don't worry about it. And then R2 gets swallowed. But, I mean, yeah. Plot convenience. So whether or not they were using those is not really material. The fact that they have them, they have them. Yeah. That is a well-established fact.
Regardless, he was very intent on not letting them know who was on board with him.
Yeah, and I think he should have been less intent about that. I think if he'd just been like, hey, I'm here, I'm basically doing medical transportation. I'm moving. I mean, that's something I've done before, so it's kind of an important thing. I almost got out of a ticket that one time. Almost. So close. I think if the old lady had lifted her dress up a little bit higher. No.
I'm not even gonna. Nope.
So. Yeah, I got a ticket one day while doing medical transport. Like, as I was pulling in to pick up my fare, not yeah, I guess the fair is correct. The police officer pulled me over for going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, and in Michigan that's technically a misdemeanor, and I didn't realize I was going that fast over the speed limit because I didn't realize I was going as fast as I was, and I didn't realize that the speed limit had dropped down 5 miles an hour. So I thought I was going 10 over, which, that's not really helping. but I thought I was going 10 over, and apparently I was going 20 over. And as I'm pulling in, like, he flicks his lights on and like follows me into the driveway there, and this like 79-year-old woman in a wheelchair is the person I'm picking up, and she's like coming out of the rehab center, and she's like, "Would it help if I lifted up my dress, officer?" And I'm like, "No, that would not help. Thank you very much, ma'am." Oh, old people get away with so much stuff.
Okay, so episode 3.
Episode 3. I don't know why you're having a problem with this, Masters. Oh yes, fun. Yeah, episode 3. What about episode 3? Start us off in episode 3.
Amazing. Best episode so far, including episode 1.
That's a bold statement.
Bold, but I will stand behind it. I mean, from the very get-go, them just landing on the planet and then just dunking into the water. That was classic Star Wars. Don't take yourself too seriously, kid. This is not that kind of movie.
Yeah. I mean, that was good. I also kind of like...
it was like you're coming in too fast, and then he goes shoo. Okay, now he's in a hover, just gotta land it, and all of a sudden, pow, into the water.
Yep, and it's one side, not both of them. That was well done. I did like that. It's kind of like, to me, it was less of a proper joke as it was kind of a monkey pun. Where it's like, oh, okay, yep, I got you. Yep, there's no other way that could have gone. I'm an idiot. I was like, it was such a setup for a cool moment, and then yeah, okay,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously.
There was a dad joke involved here. Hashtag dad jokes.
Yeah. And then he gets off the ship. Mm-hmm. He walks over to, I forget what the race is called, but he walks over.
Mon Calamari.
Do what you can. Do what you can. Okay, I'll fill it up.
Then he comes back at the end of the episode. I gave you 1,000 credits. This is the best you could do. Just shrugs at him.
It's got the wires tying everything together, holding the ship together.
It really is just bubblegum and baling wire.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yes, that was just. Mwah.
So I have a personal attachment to episode 1 because I have seen a lot more things with Timothy Olyphant in, and his recurring just time back and back over again with being a town marshal. So I think that's really nicely done. But I do understand what you're saying. So yeah, I get you on how some of the things, but I'm going to hold episode 1 as a cut above, and I'm not going to be moved off that. Unless I missed something, which you are more than free to try and change my mind on. So, yeah, continue to try and change my mind, Masters. Why is this one better than episode 1?
So I'm just gonna step through my.
And I did actually rewatch this again, today. So it's fresh.
I haven't, but I'm going to. This will be the first one that I've watched more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see here. Oh, so they got on the boat, and I was like, okay, they're on a ship. These are not the ships I was looking for.
Right.
But oh my goodness, all of the Mon Calamari costuming looked incredible.
Okay, so there's a difference. There's Mon Calamari and then there's Quarren. Mon Calamari are the ones who are
both.
Like, yes, okay.
Yes, I know which one's to switch, but yes.
Okay.
Both. They both looked amazing.
Yeah, very good. And they even got like proper mouth movement on them, which was very impressive. I thought that was very well done.
And then the old the bait and switch. I was 100% not expecting the whole interaction on the boat.
Yeah.
I I wasn't. I thought, okay, it's just going to be a boat ride over. Then we'll get to see if he can find the other Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then they were like, "Hey, let the kids see," And then I was like, "Okay, what's in there?"
Like
And
as soon as
then
they said
they
that, like
kicked the kid in, and I was like, "No, no, 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 no!"
like as soon as they said that, I'm like, oh, something feels off about that, but I'm not sure what it is. And then, and then they
It's
were
just like my reaction in JC's chat was literally, "What the actual what? Oh my god, too much is going on at once. Oh, I know who that is."
yeah. I
Yeah,
have to say
as soon as she landed, I saw the mask and I was like, "I've seen that mask before."
they nailed her look. Just
Oh
absolutely
my
nailed
goodness.
it.
Absolutely nailed it.
Both in and out of the helmet. And the thing is,
Yes.
Katie Sackhoff, the lady who plays Bo-Katan, is Katie Sackhoff, the lady who plays Bo-Katan in the animated series. It's the same person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's surprising. I was not prepared for that. Like, I guess they really just. It makes you wonder if this was always the plan. Because
What? Does he
because
have a plan? No.
because like, well, and Disney, I don't think they have a plan at all. I think Dave Filoni has a plan. um, but like
Fair enough.
they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna model the character totally off the actress in case we ever need to have her do this live. Yeah, seems legit. And then like, here we are.
Oh my god! Just as soon as she landed, I was like, "I know who that is. I spent the time to watch all of those series. Oh my god!"
And they also did it was subtle and it didn't really it wasn't really a payoff because that's something I think they're setting up for later to actually have that sort of a confrontation, which
Yeah.
which I'm really looking forward to
And
because
they
about
also set it up. They also set it up in episode 1 with the whole he took off his helmet and who are you? Where did you get that armor? And she
yes.
took off her helmet and I was like, this isn't going to end well. And he was like, "What? Where did you get that armor?" And I was
Mhm.
like, "She's a Mandalorian. She's an actual Mandalorian."
But he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He's part of the watch.
And then he flew away and I was like, "Dang it, just trust her."
But I mean, they set it up so well because, and I am
did.
fully expecting this to be paid off. Probably not this season. I don't think they're going to pay this off until season 3. Expecting a season 3, of course.
Oh, they've already started filming.
Okay, that's great news.
Yeah.
I think they're going to pay that off in season 3 because they set it up to be like, hey, you are viewing this as a religion. We are reviewing this as a culture. And I mean,
Yes.
he does view it as a religion. That's episode 2.
Absolutely.
Weapons
This
are
is
part of
the
my
way.
religion. And it's like, this is so great. And I'm so looking
And
forward.
when she threw it back at him later in the episode, this is the way.
Yeah.
You're changing the agreement. This is the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
It's,
See, there's nothing wrong with this episode. That's why it's better.
is there nothing wrong with this episode? I'm trying to think.
There's nothing wrong
What
with
was
this
wrong with the
episode.
first one?
Nothing. But this one has nothing wrong with it.
You're making things. You're just like I said.
I don't think with your brain. These are the words you get.
Okay. Okay, I will say this. There was one part that did take me out of it. Just for a second. There was a very, like I said, they nailed her look like directly, even down to the blasters and everything. It was beautiful. But there was one moment where I noticed a very obvious stunt double, and that's kind of rare, especially nowadays, where it's like, okay, that is clearly not the same person under the armor. And that's actually happening a lot, actually, in this series, particularly with
the Mandalorian.
With the Mandalorian.
There's 3 different people that play the Mandalorian.
Right. Which I almost think at this point they should never put Pedro Pascal back under the armor again and just let him do the voice and like keep him around in case they need to have him do a face reveal, because he's clearly not happy. He's clearly not happy as an actor not having his face on screen more. And it's like, did you not read the entire premise of the character? Yeah. Like that's one thing that I understand why actors want to have their face on screen a lot, because that is their moneymaker and this and that and the other. Okay, you want to have your face on screen so there's character recognition, so there's face recognition, so people want to put you in their movie. I got you totally. I don't care. There are some characters that do better, and this is definitely one of them that does way, way better with that mask on. I mean, we can go back to last week when we're talking about Boba Fett, and like the guy under the mask is the least important part of Boba Fett's character. Clearly, he is the least important part of this thing. Now it might become more of an important thing because we actually have a proper Boba Fett who could have been under the mask, but yeah. And yeah, there was, like I said, there's a very obvious stunt double and I can tell you exactly the scene where it was, when they break into the door to get onto the ship. It is Bo-Katan who goes in and takes down those 3 initial stormtroopers. It is her. But it definitely was not Katie Sackhoff. It definitely was not her. Like, her whole build was different. Going in, I'm like, okay, that's that one. I'll give it to you because it looked very accurate to the show. And again, in the helmet on version, it was like, yeah, it almost might have been it almost might as well have been just like her CG self in there doing it, but it was clearly an actual stunt double.
Wait, what part?
So they fly up, they land on top of the Imperial shuttle taking off. They take care of the stormtroopers on the outside.
Yep.
They break in through the door.
Yep.
Bo-Katan is the first one through the door. She takes down 3 stormtroopers by herself. Very obvious stunt double. It's a totally different body type. And her, like, the way she moves and carries herself is totally different.
Nope, I don't notice the difference.
Okay, well, I did.
I'm sitting here looking at it.
Like, I noticed that right off. I'm like, oh, that's a different. I actually backed it up on my first watch and my second watch today to make sure, like, yeah, that's somebody else. Like on my first watch, I'm like, that she's not moving the same way. I definitely think it was her doing a lot of the stuff on the boat and a lot of the other stuff that went on through the rest of it. But that particular sequence where there's a lot more martial arts, like heavy martial arts, like she is just a lot more smooth and fluid in her motions than she is pretty much any other time. So yeah. Also, I do have one thing that I definitely disagreed with, and it's just how it was filmed probably. And it may have also been a creative choice so they didn't have to have a gigantic spurt of blood on screen, which they're probably trying to avoid as much as possible. But on the boat, when I think it's actually the other female Mandalorian who does it. I don't remember precisely if it was her or if it was Bo-Katan. But she grabs one of the pikes from one of the Quarren and whacks another one with it. And there is a rather pronounced blade on there that she could have hit him with and ended his entire existence permanently in one movement. But instead, she hits him like really far down the shaft, so it's a blunt hit rather than a bladed hit. And so she doesn't bisect him. And I thought that was kind of a weird choice. Like, from a combat perspective, I understand it creatively because they don't want to have this gigantic spurt of purple blood pouring out. But that was totally a very viable option that she could have done in that moment, and probably would have been the smarter one. So that was one thing where it's like, okay, that kind of took me out of it a little bit. And I noticed it right off in both watchings of it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what you did. I understand why. I'm just like, eh. There's the part of me that just wants everything on screen to be as realistically cohesive as possible, and that was one of those things that was just like, okay. And I can even get over. I can even get over the stunt double thing. So yeah, because in terms of the presentation of how she moves and everything to how she moves on the show, that was like spot on. But there's a limit to what you can really expect from an actress to be able to pull off, because that's not their focus. Their focus is to be able to present character, which Katie Sackhoff does a fantastic job of presenting the character, and I really appreciated what she was able to what she was able to do in bringing this character totally to life. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed pretty much everything. There's one part again. Man, the more I'm going through this, the more I'm like, okay, there's a little thing here. There's a little like it's really nitpicky. It really is nitpicky. The deck officer in the cargo bay. He just seemed
cowering.
He seemed very unnatural for some reason. Like,
just define unnatural.
So at first he seems very full of bluster, and I get what they were trying to do. He's like full of bluster, and like as soon as danger actually shows up, he shows his true colors as a coward. And I got that, but that he didn't convince me. It seemed to me as though the actor himself knew that he was never in any danger, and that all of these were just kind of lines that he was reading, or not even reading, but just, repeating. I think he could have done a better job. I'm saying that he did a bad job, and for most people, it probably was no issue. But for me, it was just kind of like, and there's also a part of me that's like, I wish that they presented stormtroopers a little bit better. And I know that this series is taking some shots at them and is talking a little bit more also about how they're not even properly trained stormtroopers at this point. They talked about that in season 1.
They're not stormtroopers. It's because they officially made a delineation between clone troopers and stormtroopers.
But okay, I understand that. But and I know that this is the whole reason for the joke, but this is the canon of the world. In episode 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi is pointing out on the Jawa's sandcrawler, and these blast points, too precise for sand people, only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise, right? Well,
yeah.
That, to a certain extent, that should be an expectation. Like, that should be our expectation, not that they are going to miss indefinitely. They should have some level of competency. And I understand that we're getting into the point.
There was that study that was done, or I don't know that it was considered a study, but somebody actually went back and analyzed all of the footage from where the stormtroopers were taking their shots.
Yeah.
And determined that they would be considered top marksmen in the U.S. military.
Yes, and I fully acknowledge that.
So,
but in this series in particular, they've taken, I would say they've taken now 2 shots at stormtrooper competency. No, the first one was in the last episode of season 1.
But comparing a stormtrooper to a Mandalorian is like comparing
I'm not even
sniper to an infantry unit.
I'm not even talking
They're
about
both amazing, but one is clearly better.
No. I am not even talking about comparison. I'm talking about actual real shots that they have taken at stormtrooper competency. And in the last episode of season 1, they have the 2 stormtroopers.
Oh, you're talking about my favorite scene in the entire Mandalorian, where they're trying to shoot that can and they just can't.
I know, and that is a funny and hilarious scene, and I love it. That I like that shot. It's a great one, and it works very well. And the guy is like,
Also, you have to think that stormtrooper came after the stormtroopers from Obi-Wan's time.
Right.
So this stormtrooper might have been rushed through his training because they were losing the war.
And very likely he was. Very, very likely he was. But I mean, like I said, there's a couple of different things here. Number one, there's the guy who is just freaking out and he's an idiot. Which I think is kind of an issue. The other one is Axe Woves, the male Mandalorian. He says something about, like, the stormtroopers can't hit this broadside of anything. I can't remember where he says that. It's where they're running through.
Yeah, it's when they're coming onto the ship.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but no. And then I really, really, really liked the moment where Din Djarin grabs the 2, like, he's like, we got to get this. We're about to crash. He grabs the 2 explosives and like he just takes fire. He just tanks the fire. He's like,
yeah,
hey, that was
absolutely.
that was like, such a great
I've got
move.
Veskar armor.
like, yeah, yours has been passed down for generations. Mine has actual battle scars. Screw you. And just like starts marching down the corridor. I loved that moment. It was so beautiful. Which again, like that was very well done. And I don't mind the point that like, yeah, they didn't kill him, despite the fact that they probably totally should have been able to find some gap of his armor with as much, laser fire as they're sending down that corridor. Don't care. That was a great moment. I totally suspend my disbelief for that one. That was beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, so much good stuff with that. But so they're like I said, they took 2 shots in this episode. Number 1,
and they couldn't hit the side of a bantha.
There we go. Yeah,
that's what he said.
Thank you for looking that up, because I can't do it, because if they do, then they're going to hear it, and then we're going to get hit with a strike or something, and I don't want it to happen. So, it's like,
he says, and stormtroopers,
and
she said, yep, and he goes, and they couldn't hit the side of a bantha.
Right. So, like I said, they're just taking a couple of shots, and I don't think they need to. I would, again, my number 1 Star Wars. Okay, so Star Wars is kind of in a state of flux right now. They're talking about doing this High Republic series. It's going to be like 3 movies. There is, thank God, dying talk about giving Rian Johnson his own Star Wars trilogy. Thank God that talk is dying off. And then there's talking about doing a couple of other Star Wars stories, which I think at this point we're going to not get a standalone Boba Fett movie. I think we're going to see his story kind of incorporated into Mandalorian, which I'm very much a fan of. Which is fine. That's great. Yeah. But the number 1 Star Wars story that I want to see, and people are going to be, I've mentioned this to some other people, and they're like, absolutely not, but yes. I want to see a full-on military prawn version of the Empire, like fully from the Empire's perspective. You can follow some sort of like mid-level officer on a Star Destroyer, and
follow the commandos.
You can do that, but I want to do this in a much broader scale than the commandos. Because commandos, they're tight, they're regimented, literally, like. That's a much tighter story. I want a broad, sweeping, full-scale battle epic, okay? And it is, or like,
you're never gonna get that.
Okay, well, let me pitch this to you. So
you've missed your elevator pitch. They're never gonna let that fly.
Don't care. I want this out there on the internet, okay? So I want to see. So it starts out, he's a mid-level officer. He might be part of the ground force. Actually, I prefer to be part of the ground force so that you can kind of have both perspectives, or like have 2.
You already have that with Finn?
No. I'm changing my mind. I want 2 people. I want one on the ground force. I want one on in command. So like on the ship. So like commander on the ground, commander in the air, space, whatever. And they get a message from the Emperor, Lord Vader, someone up the line, an admiral, I don't care who, and they say, we have received word of rebellion on this planet. Star Destroyer goes to the planet, or multiple Star Destroyers, even better. Make him an admiral. And they show up and they say, we have received word of rebellion on your planet. We are coming to investigate. And the response to receive is resistance fire from the planet. Okay, we're going to put down the rebellion. And then they do. The Star Destroyers go belly up to the planet and planetary bombard the daylights out of it. And like we get to see the full power of Star Destroyers, which we never really get to this. We understand that like Star Destroyers are powerful and they're capital ships. We kind of get like a rough idea, but there is so much more that they are capable of that we never have been able to experience on film. And I would love to see it on film. It would just make my day to see it on film. Like the whole idea of the Death Star is kind of, it really is overkill to the farthest extent, because no Star Destroyers on their own are not capable of destroying a planet, but they are pretty well capable of making them inhospitable to life. Like 2 of them could do it. It might take a lot longer, but they could do it. And I would love to see this kind of bombardment just rain down on this planet, and then they're like, okay, send in the walkers, and the walkers go down and they just start mopping up anything that survived the bombardment. And like, this is the whole movie. And because it would be all machination and lasers and turbo lasers and explosions and missiles and everything else like that, I would like to see it directed by Michael Bay. And that's where I lose everyone.
No, you lost me when you started talking about it.
I think that would be the greatest Star Wars experience of my life, and it will never happen. But I want to see
Star Wars experience. Maybe Disney will come out with a ride.
Like I said, it just needs to. Disney is so far up their butt about the Jedi are the good ones and the Sith are the bad guys and the Empire is evil and all kinds of stuff. They are never going to do anything like that as a ride. But I will say this: I think there is the tiniest, infinitesimally small possibility that someone there at Disney has maybe it would be a good idea to try and humanize while also doubling down on the vilification of the Empire by making this kind of movie. Because there's a couple of fan films out there where they have followed like a stormtrooper, and they show why he signed up, how he went through training, what he's taught to believe, why he does this, and then it gut punches you and shows him facing off against somebody that he knew before he was a stormtrooper, and then how he has the resolve to continue to serve the Empire after coming to this realization. And I have to find it. I'll have to post it. But it is just, I want to see that on the big screen, not just as a fan film. And the fan film that I'm going to post as soon as I find it is amazing and it's awesome. But there is just so much more that I think could be explored from an Imperial perspective that is just being totally ignored.
So,
yes.
Now that you finally stopped talking, Titus Williver, who was the commander of that ship, he was the one that I thought was a cameo.
Okay.
He's not. He's just done a lot of cool stuff.
Okay.
Like he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in I was gonna say Transformers: Age of Extinction, but I haven't even seen that. He was in Grimm. He was in CSI. He was in Law and Order, Sons of Anarchy, Supernatural. He's in a lot of good stuff. But I immediately recognized him as somebody that I've seen several times before and thought, ooh, that's a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
How is he a cameo? And I was assured he's not.
I mean, he's a cameo of himself.
Yes.
It's like Timothy Oliphant. He is a cameo of himself. Especially since the fact that now he's dead.
Is he dead? Did they actually kill him? I don't remember.
He did their version. He did the Star Wars version of a cyanide pill in your tooth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, right. I remember now. Because that was another one of my comments was, now that's a suicide pill.
Yeah.
Talk about a shock trooper.
And I again, it's one of those things where man, I kind of wish they hadn't killed him off because he seemed like he was kind of cool. I wanted to see more from him. I know they have Giancarlo Esposito, who they're setting up as the big bad, but
yeah.
They need what the Mandalorian needs from Giancarlo Esposito is they need a what's his name? I will find it. It's Rebels. They need a commander. What's his name? Not Commander Rex. They need an Agent Callus. they need someone who, I mean, even if they don't have him flip, which would probably actually be better, they need like an Agent Callus or like an Admiral Zhao kind of person who can like be a low level embodiment of the evil that they are fighting against. Unless you're going to tell me that later on that, you know, Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon is beholden to somebody farther up, okay, we can talk about that. But for right now, like it feels like they're skipping to the end a little bit too fast. I would like to see them do a little bit to kind of gradiate it a little bit. I'd like to see like a slower incline up as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, boom, here's the thing.
You just assume that it's a fast thing.
Well, I mean, clearly, like I said, they're not going to have a payoff. They're, in my opinion, I haven't seen the rest of the episodes for the season yet. Nobody has, except for the people who made them, except for Dave Filoni. Blessings be upon him. But anyway, except for Dave Filoni, nobody's seen all the episodes. I sincerely doubt they're going to have a payoff for the Mandalorian dichotomy until the third season. That to me would be the smart play. And nobody's asking my opinion, but here we are. So we're just two guys talking, having a conversation on the internet. What's your problem?
You're my problem.
This is very true. Or at least I'm one of them. So yeah, I would.
The only one I have right now.
I would. Got 99 problems, but never mind. I feel so sad for that. Anyway, that I even know that. Anyway, I would like to see something like some sort of like an Agent Callus, Admiral Zhao kind of person to come in to be like a mid tier, and I think that that Titus Welliver could have been a very good person to put in there as that, but he's dead now, so we can't have it.
Yeah,
this is why we can't have nice things.
Jim. He's dead, Jim.
I want to see it. I'm very excited about where this is going to go. I really, really, really am looking forward to kind of the understanding that's going to come forward, and I think it's absolutely going to come to a head in season 3. And I think this is one of the reasons why we were seeing some of those early stories coming out about Pedro Pascal being upset about not being able to take off his helmet. And that tells me that's another one of those reasons where it's like, okay, this is clearly not going to pay off until season 3. And in season 3, I think it is going to pay off the classic Mandalorian culture versus the sort of religious zealotry of the Watch, where he's going to have this like moment of crisis, and that's going to be his big moment of overcoming it, where he takes his helmet off, kind of thing. And I think then it'll be a big payoff, not just for the series and for the character, but also for the actor, because that makes it have more meaning. It's one where it's like, it's a willful choice to kind of put aside a part of yourself and take on something new, which has a much more impact than just being like, oh, I want to take my helmet off now. Or I'm by myself, I'll take my helmet off. It builds so much more into the character to actually be like, we have question, we have doubt. And I think they even had like a little piece of this in the final season, and not the final season, but the final episode of the first season, where his helmet does come off and you do get to see his face. And it's like, he's taking his helmet off. Is he going to die? Is he going to die? Is he going to, what's going on? And then you have they have that moment where it's like, he had a personal realization where he had started to view the IG unit as a person.
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's right, it's not. Or at least there's that momentary caveat. So he has a realization for himself, which is great. And then he has a kind of a secondary fallback to like, okay, I can put it back on, kind of thing. And it's really, really, really well done in there. And I like that. And I would there does come a question with the whole helmet not taking off thing, which I've had since season 1, which I am not going to bring up here, but it is a question that I have had, and I am not brave enough to breach that topic tonight. Probably for very good reason. But suffice to say, I'm really looking forward to that payoff, and I think everyone else is too. It's one of those things where like it's predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen before it happens, but at the same time, it's going to be cool to see it actually play out.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We have a lot of things to look forward to in 2021.
Mostly just the end of 2020, but oh. Are we actually going to get the whole season before the end of the year?
So season 1 had 8 episodes.
This is correct.
So we are on the path. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. We should get the 8th episode the week before Christmas.
Okay. Release info. Let's buy just general release. Release dates. There we go. Oh. Nope. Might have to go to the other information.
So November 20th, the next episode comes out. Then the 27th, then the 4th, and the 11th, and the 18th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's already season 3 listed. Okay. So yeah, we'll get it before Christmas. All right.
Did you not believe me?
I was actually on the IMDb already. I was just looking it up, and my eyes have now confirmed what you told me.
So you did not believe me. Got it.
It's not that I didn't believe you. It's just that at the same time you were giving me that information, I was already clicking on the link.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do it's spoilers. Darn it. I did see, if you go on IMDb, there is a spoiler still from episode 12, which is cool.
Not really a spoiler.
Huh?
Not really a spoiler.
I mean,
they could have just pulled that from anywhere. You don't know that that's a still from the next.
I do know it's a still from the next episode.
How do you know?
Because of Grief Karga's beard.
I didn't click on it.
I don't have to click on it. It's just in its regular thumbnail format. You can see by his beard that it is gray. That means he is older.
Super low res.
And there is, I mean, not to be racist about this or anything, but in normal circumstances, if he did not have a gray beard, he would not have a highlight on his face of that shade in that picture. It's clearly actually from the episode.
Oh, this is all from the trailer.
Yeah, it's also
these shots are from the trailer.
Yeah, it's also from a trailer. But I mean, if
so
they're
just assuming that this is episode 4,
possibly. Click on episode 12. See what happens. Photos from episode 12.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
They're all stills from the trailer. What are you growling about?
I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking that this is actually something from episode 4. Episode 4. I mean, it makes sense narratively for this to be the next step.
I mean, we'll find out.
We will. Wow. 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 I can't react to that on stream. Okay. Oh, wow. People's just sending me weird stuff again. Anyway, that was fun. Yeah, so I'm I. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. It may have been the nap. The nap may have been what's wrong with me at this point. But we have now cleared 1 hour of talking about D&D. We've cleared 1 hour of talking about Star Wars with a couple extra minutes and change on both, I'm sure. What else we got, Masters?
I'm very tired.
Why are you tired?
I did a lot of work.
Define work.
I did about a week's worth of work in 8 hours on Thursday.
So
I got home and I couldn't feel my legs unless I was standing on them, and then I didn't want to feel my legs. I went to bed at 6 o'clock.
So I have an observation.
I haven't moved all year. I I understand why it happened.
That's not the observation. The observation I'm going to make is even more unfriendly.
I doubt it.
If it was possible to do a week's worth of work in 8 hours, was it actually a week's worth of work, or have you just been stretching out your 8 hours worth of work over the course of a week?
Oh yeah, definitely that second one.
just pointing that out.
It is possible, as I have shown, for me to do what I do, or what I did in an 8 hour period that would normally take me about a week to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, um, to do so obviously puts me at a great deal of stress, not stress, physical stress, not emotional or mental stress, because I hardly ever have emotional. Well, I almost never have emotional stress. I hardly ever have mental stress. Physical stress, on the other hand, it puts me through a lot of that, uh, as denoted by me going to bed at 6 o'clock in the afternoon and being tired when I woke up the next. Um, but also, as one person so eloquently put it, if you do it all in one day, and then you're going to lose your job, because if you can do it in that short amount of time, then they're going to always expect you to do that in that short amount of time, and then they don't need you the rest of the time. So why would they keep you around?
You see, this is the problem with how with how the government in general does things.
Well, it's not just the government; it's all of society. I could absolutely get my job done on a week to week basis in about 3 days worth of work.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to spread it out over 5 days. Why not just go to a 3 day work week?
We were
I'll be more
actually
productive. Things get more done. Let's just do it. Let's bite the bullet and do it. Pay me the same amount of money you pay me now, just all of it done in 3 days worth of work. 3 8 hour days.
we were
And we will actually probably do more work, because yeah.
we were actually on track to do that as a society back in the 80s, and then something changed. I'm not sure what. But all of a sudden it's like, no, we have to maintain our, like, now there are some things which actually do take full amounts of time. Most physical labor.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to to shortcut redoing a roof. Like, I'm sorry, that ain't gonna happen.
There is, just not the right way.
Right. I mean, there's no way to actually get the work done and shortcut redoing a roof. It's just not gonna happen. Unless actually, well, with modern technology, we may be able to find a way to just kind of like make a roof overlay. That would potentially be a possibility. Yeah, so that would actually be kind of interesting to. I just had a multi-million-dollar idea that I have no idea how to bring to pass, and I've now put it out on the internet, and somebody is very unlikely going to hear it and make all the money that I am not smart enough to figure out how to make. Because I just had this idea of like this like polyethylene like layer you just throw over a roof and you're good, like maybe an inch thick.
They already have those.
But I mean, I know, but just had an idea on how to do it, and I ain't smart enough to figure it out.
That's because they've already figured it out.
Well, I have not seen this. I'd be very interested to see evidence that it's already something that exists.
Well, it is because I had, I think I've mentioned here that I had to go in a couple of weeks ago to um, meet with a guy about fixing a leak on one of our roofs, and he fixed it and said, "Hey, if it doesn't work this time, then I've got this rubber thing that I can just throw over, and then we'll strap down the sides, and you'll never have a leak again." And my thought was, well, why didn't we do this to begin with? But I digress.
Right. Okay, so you have experience that I don't, but I just suddenly had this like image of like this giant roller coming up and just like leaving a roof behind on a house, which was just like, oh, that's that. Why have we had
He basically said, we'll just roll it out and flap over the sides and then tack it down, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'm so glad that someone came up with this. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh dear. $1 million idea. Missed it. Probably just by a couple years. Anyway. Now that I'm off of that, what were we talking about? Oh, right. Some work and some things that can be done, some things that can't be done in a shorter period of time. What I do right now, I don't think could be done. I mean, I could probably do everything that I do at my job. Make sure no one at my job is listening. I could probably do everything I do at my job in about 3 hours a day or less. But because of the nature of my job, it's progressive. Something will pop up during the day, and then I have to just address it at that moment. But if it was all just given to me at the beginning, I could just do it.
So, the way that I've been doing it since the pandemic is I have my work laptop that I keep up, and if I get something comes in, I take care of it. And I see no reason that I could not continue to do this for the rest of eternity. And just anytime something that requires me to be on presence, I live 15 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 15 minutes, I'll be there, I'll take care of it, and then I get to come home.
Right.
I see no reason that that couldn't become the new norm.
And we probably are going to see a lot more of that becoming new normal. We're
not for my job. I highly doubt that.
Well, the government is always the last one to adapt.
You're not wrong.
I say this is actually part of the problem with the government, which was actually the point I think I was trying to make. There is a noted issue with how the government apportions out funds every year. That being, they set the budget, and then if anything that is not spent on that budget the next year is reduced from the budget for that thing.
Yep.
And so it's like you are incentivizing overspending because nobody wants to have their budget cut.
Yep.
And I think that is the stupidest possible way to do that.
We go through that every single year. Into the fiscal year comes around. Okay, we've got this amount of money we've got to spend before this time. So what are we going to buy?
I have to ask, how many people in that meeting every year raise their hand and say, I'll take it?
Everyone. Yeah, I work with a bunch of dads. What are you talking about?
I can just absolutely see how that would play out every single year.
The daddest person that we have,
uh-huh.
He actually retired this year.
Oh, well, I mean, good for him, really.
Yeah. Sad for us.
I'm actually
the person to work with, and now I have to work with somebody that's even worse.
That was the other thing that. Well, let's finish this topic before I move on to another one. Yeah, that is a major issue, I think, with most. We should be at the point now, and actually, most of my job could just be done at the end of the day. Like the vast majority of it could just be done at the end of the day, from 2 to 5. That would be. I could absolutely do that. Except for the fact that there's just some stupid busy work they have me keep doing. And it's the kind of stuff that most people should totally be able to take care of themselves, but they don't want to, and so they don't. And guess who gets to do it? Yay! But yeah, aside from that, everything that I do at my office, I could do in less than 3 hours a day, and then go home. And some of it, I probably wouldn't even have to go into the office for. I'm one of those weird people, I suppose. I prefer to go to my job and then come home, because to me that creates a mental barrier so I can leave my job at my job and not have to bring it home with me.
No, I don't have that problem at all.
There are few things in life that make me viscerally upset than my job not respecting the clock. If they expect me to show up on time, then they should also respect my time and not contacting me off hours.
I don't. I have never answered the phone off hours.
It is unfortunately a requirement for my position.
I would tell them to go screw themselves, but that's just.
Well, if I tell them that, they'll say, "Thank you for working with us. Don't come back tomorrow," kind of thing.
Like, okay.
Well,
I mean, that's just me.
Well, I am the kind of person who likes to have options before I make those kind of statements, and I'm working on those options.
I have literally told several of my employers that tried to do that to me. If you don't like it, fire me. Several times I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Never been fired.
Well, the place I'm working at right now is the kind of place that they absolutely would, just because you said that. Which is probably an indication that it's probably not a great place to work overall. But it has for the most part done me very well. And there's only been about 5 or 6 instances over the last 3.5 years, almost 4, where they have contacted me off hours. But every single time it has been something absolutely not important. But to them it was like the end of the world. And I'm like, no, I really don't know. Neither do I particularly care where ex-attorney's beef jerky went to. Why wasn't he in the office to find it himself? And it's not like I went into the office or anything, but it's just like I was in the middle of something else and they contacted me and it was like, you have to answer. That was that's one of the reasons why I stopped working. That was actually one of the chief reasons why I tried to stop working, or it was put into my head that I needed to stop working. At the place I worked before the law firm, because that was an on-call only position. And I have discovered that that does not fly with me whatsoever. When you come up to, when I tell, like, there are some things in my life which I view dramatically more important than any paycheck. And when you tell me that if I don't do XYZ, I'm going to lose my paycheck, and to do XYZ, I have to miss those things which I view more important as the paycheck, that paycheck is not going to come from you for very much longer. And that's exactly what happened. Like like I am a church guy. My boss told me, hey, I need you to miss your service to do this, that, and the other. And I told him at the interview, that's not going to happen. And he said, you have to do it. If you don't, you're not getting paid. And I told him at the time, this is not a good way to maintain our relationship. And less than a month later, I quit.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, even the current job I have now, I have gotten phone calls or text messages after I have left work for the day on a Friday, saying, "Hey, we need to do this and get this out." And my response has always been, "If it if it could wait until I have left work on Friday, it can wait till Monday."
That's fair.
It's like, if it was that important, you would have gotten to me before I left.
Mm-hmm. And it might not bother me so much if I was someone who was less conscious of the clock. I always try to be at work 5 minutes early or as close. And the thing is, the place I work at, they would prefer you to be 10 minutes late than 5 minutes early, which is really weird. Because they don't want to pay overtime at all. They set up their work week in such a way that you have to work 2.5 hours extra to even reach 40 hours, which is like, okay, you guys are way over stressing about this, but then they call you in off hours. I'm like, just give me the extra 2.5 hours a week and get over yourselves. So I made an extra $20 this week because of overtime. How are we ever going to survive? Yeah, I have issues, major issues. Wow.
I want this to happen so much.
Post that in the, please post that in the World Worst Podcast Interaction subreddit. That just needs to be, not subreddit. We don't have a subreddit yet. We're not famous enough to have a subreddit, dadgummit. We have a Discord channel that's part of a larger Discord channel, and dadgummit, we need a subreddit. We're not going to get one.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years.
I mean, I could technically make us one right now.
But yes, I endorse presidential beard. Oh, I kind of want to see it.
It's an official petition.
It's not an official petition. It's on change.org. Change.org, to the best of my knowledge.
Somebody has made an official petition to the White House.
Oh.
On petitions.whitehouse.gov.
Okay, that's an official petition. That's awesome. I am. Please send me this. I want to sign. I think that would be amazing. Like, no matter which one of these yahoos gets in there, I want to see a president. Oh. I just realized I mean, never mind. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But, yeah, presidential beard needs to be a thing. Please bring it back. Just so that I can get one. So I can finally tell all the stodgy old people who are telling me that I can't grow a beard because of ministerial purposes. Be like, no, I can grow a beard. Screw you. It's not very Christian of me, but I want to say it.
I say it to my mother. Does that count?
Does your mother have control, or not really control, but say over how far you can go in life? Short of being like one of those people who says, you know, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, so I think I look better with a beard. I said it. I think I look better with mutton chops.
My mother finally agrees that I look better with a beard.
You showed her the picture of yourself without one, didn't you?
Well, she's seen me without one.
I know, but I mean like the recent picture where you should never show that picture to anyone. Like ever. It's like that scene in Spaceballs where they have Spaceballs the tape and they put it in and they like ram Dark Helmet into the front again, and he's like, no, it's past this. Go past this point. In fact, never play this again. That kind of reaction. Never show those pictures to anyone, Masters. Oh man. Anyway, sorry. Kind of ish, but don't ever show that, especially not me. Anyway, moving right along. I'm sorry, ish, but not really.
You're not. Not even a little bit.
Not a little bit, no. I would like to grow a beard because I think I look better with a beard. I think I look better with mutton chops. Not probably as good as I do with the beard, but I mean, I still think it's funny, at least the mutton chops, just because it messes with people and they're like, what do you have on your face? But there are people who are farther up in the church organization that I'm in who have objections, and they at one time were fairly legitimate objections culturally. We have now passed that point in our culture by at least 30 years. It's not really an issue anymore. But they are still hanging around and they still have an issue with it. And I'm like, but why though? And I mean, I would like to continue moving on up ministerially within this church organization. So it's like, okay, that is a requirement. It's not that big a deal for me. It's not like I'm going to leave or anything about it, but it's just like, it's kind of one of those inconvenient kind of things where it's like, I want to do something and the powers that be say no, and they don't really have a good reason for it. And I'm smart enough to figure out that they don't really have a good reason for it. And a number of other people around me are also in agreement that they don't really have a good reason about it, but they are still there, and there's nothing we can do about it because until they shuffle off this mortal coil, they're still around. not that I'm trying to, man, there's no good way to address this, is there? It either sounds like I want them to die or that I am just generally unhappy with them. And it's like, it's not the case in either one. I greatly respect these people, but it's like on this one particular issue, we are in great disagreement. And from all cognitive and for all cognitive purposes, I am not seeing nor am I hearing a good explanation as to why I'm wrong. If there is a good explanation, please, by all means, forward it along to me. I would love to hear it. But we ain't there. Masters, you do realize that was in the Wilderness Podcast channel, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, I'm a Sasquatch, so there's probably a couple of reasons why I would be okay with that. But, but you know, we have just crossed a line. Actually, this was a line that I crossed. No, we actually talked about this on the podcast a couple weeks ago about Friendly's work on a hair growth formula and how it might have more applications than just the top of your head.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You know,
are we winding down this podcast?
There might have been a real problem if they had gotten somebody else to play the bearded lady in The Greatest Showman. I mean, if they had gotten whoever that was, that might have been a problem.
I think the bearded lady is gorgeous.
You know, she's not pushing any of my buttons, but I'm not going to say boo to anyone who she is. I was mildly distracted by somebody else on screen who was pushing my buttons, and that's a problem.
Well, there's that too. Zac Efron is a looker, I'm just saying.
What if we rewrite the stars? That was very off key.
It was.
I felt it. Like, I'm not prepared for this. I'm just going to go for it. And then I'm like, man, I really shouldn't have gone for that because I didn't come anywhere near to it. Oh, well. The point got made.
I want to see a carpenter skilled enough to use this.
Yeah, there's no way that's happening. Like, number one, that person's going to break their wrist because the chain on that is way too long. The chain on the flail is always supposed to be shorter than the handle.
No, look. So what it is you're building a 2-story house and you're on the first floor.
There are other options to get this done. Much better options.
No ladder in sight. No ladder in sight.
So what we're going to do is we're going to saw the head off my hammer, and we're going to solder a chain link onto the bottom of the head, and then we're going to bolt it into the top of the handle and just swing with all we got. Yeah, this is not going to work. Yeah, that's just not a thing. Okay, that's weird. Where was I? I was talking about something and I quite forgot what it was. You got me off top. You have successfully distracted me, Masters. I have no idea what I was talking about, and you are not going to tell me what it is either. What it was. Are you?
Nope.
Very frustrating because I was gearing up to go into something.
You were, and I completely cut you off.
You did.
You're welcome, Internet.
That's not fair. Darn it. Yeah, I gotta get out of this channel now because I can't look at that. That was the wrong channel to go into because now I'm back onto. I didn't ask how big the room was. I said I cast Fireball. Oh, which I love. Anyway, what a beautiful day this has been.
I slept till 3. Did I
Oh,
say that already?
that was the thing. I did not get a new job this week.
I'm confused.
I had an interview at the United States Post Office, and I did not get a job this week. And I did not get a job this week because precisely for the reason that I said that I left my one job a couple years ago.
They want you to work on Sundays.
9 to 4 mandatory. And I'm like, well, I talked with you on the phone about how I'm coming into this area to start a church, right? He said, yes. There's this thing, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, and I am not usually this condescending, but I wasn't like, maybe not wasn't this full tone of voice, but like, I was having this exact conversation with him, and I'm not kidding. This was the conversation I was having. Like, so there's this thing that happens on Sundays with churches. Would be kind of a conflict with that. Is there any way that you could work with me? And he says no. And I says, okay. Well, I think we're about at the end of our conversation then. And this was like a 10-minute interview. Because he was very forward, which I was appreciative of, but I'm like, on the phone, we had the conversation. I do this on Sundays. This should not be a surprise. It was also, okay, you work for the government, right?
Yeah.
Good benefits?
With my company, yes.
Okay. They offered no benefits. And I'm like, this is a government job. I thought that was half the point of having a government job. Good benefits. What's wrong with you people? Didn't say that, but I was thinking, like, okay, I mean, I could get past with that because they were going to pay me a higher hourly wage. And then they're like, well, also the job we're hiring you for is technically part-time. And I said, well, how part-time? And they said, well, we can guarantee 2 days a week. Plus Sundays. And I'm like, this is becoming a lot harder pill to swallow. Because no benefits, less hours. Why are you even advertising this position? Who in their right mind is going to pick this up? And like Sundays, I'm like, even people who don't do anything else, why on earth would they pick this up? So yeah, I am not working for the post office.
Entry level people.
It seems more like it's
squarely no longer in the entry level position.
It seems more like it's tailored to people who are passing beyond that, like people who are on their way out of the workforce or who need something to do on the weekends, kind of thing.
That could be it too.
Like someone who wants something just to do something
supplemental.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I could understand it for that, but for someone who's 30, that certainly ain't for me. Push wrong button. Yeah, I have to read that more. Okay. But yeah, so I am back on the market looking for more jobs. I'm going to try and see if I can get something at like a court, because I clearly have some legal experience and they are for sure closed on Sundays. So that is now kind of like my premier idea. I'm going to see how well that goes. But I'm at the point now where it basically just makes more sense for me to wait until after the first of the year to transition jobs. Because if I do, I have value added to me of at least $3,500 in bonuses and time off. So that's one thing that will not be changing in the near future. Yay! I don't know why all that had to come out, but here we are. It came out.
Me either, but okay.
Sometimes you just gotta get stuff off your chest, Masters, and there's nobody really around here to really explain it to. And like the people who I probably should have explained it to, one of them got COVID, and the other one, who's my boss, is like, yeah, I don't want to know. I'm like, okay. They just wanted to know that I wasn't leaving yet. That's all they were concerned about.
So you have told them that you are planning on leaving?
Oh yeah, I'm very open with them. Like, but it was weird because I had a sit-down meeting with HR like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that had already been expressed to them, not by me, but by my direct supervisor, and they never brought it up. And they also never brought up the thing that they were supposed to be talking to me about at all. It was like an hour and a half meeting. It was supposed to be 20 minutes. That's probably my fault. That's 100% my fault. Would you rather be working or talking to HR for an hour and a half? Well, considering it's me and that I like to dominate the conversation, here we go.
Podcast.
It's not so much that I like to, it's just that I'm really good at it. And so I did an hour and a half podcast with my HR directors about life at work, because they haven't been there. What do they care? They needed to know. Like, they're like, so we haven't been in the office since March. What's it like there? I'm like, it's a desolate wasteland. Empty cubicles as far as the eye can see. Every once in a while, an attorney pops up. He wears a duster and a wide-brimmed hat. He has glasses on and carries a gun. It's a squirt gun, but it's a gun. It has disinfectant in it. That may or may not have actually been a thing that I said to my HR directors. And I'm still employed. Can you believe it?
No comment.
It shows just how desperate they are. Oh, man. Yes, it is an adventure every time. But yeah, so I am looking not particularly hard. I just need here's the thing. My mentality on getting a job is very much still old school. I want to walk into a place and be like, "Hello, my name is Gavi, whatever." And I'm just like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. I see you guys are hiring. Here are my skill sets. This is who I am as a person. And I want to like walk out of here right now with a clear understanding of whether or not I have a legitimate shot." And I want it to be like totally like personality and everything based, because I'm very good typically at selling myself, because I'm a very personable kind of person.
You should have been my mother's son then, because when I was out looking for a job, I am very much of the technical mindset, sending out resumes and stuff online and through email and all this other stuff. And she was like, "You got to go to the building," and I'm like, "No."
And
They specifically say not to do that.
I know, and that's the issue. Most places, especially now, people are like, "Don't come to our building," and I'm like, "Am I going to pay me to come there eventually?" And so it's a bit of an issue. So I am the mentality, like, I want to walk in, I want to have a conversation, I want to meet the manager, I want to be like, "Hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. Here's how I can help you. Here's how I can improve here's how I can be an asset to your company." And nobody wants to do that now. And it's very frustrating, because like, "Oh, just send something in online." And I'm like, I am not my resume. Especially since I just found I never actually graduated from college. That was something I found out while I was just applying to the post office. Apparently, I never applied for graduation, which was not something I realized I had to do. I assumed that I had just completed all the coursework and I had my diploma. As it turns out, I ain't got one.
You're leaving, so you've got to let them know, so that they can charge you for leaving the college.
What is this, prison?
Yes.
This has been my argument for years. So what you're saying is that I am in technicality right now, I'm on the lam.
No.
Well, they did call me and were like, "Hey, you should apply for..." My college called me, like, "Hey, you should apply for graduation. We just realized it's been 10 years. You should probably do that at some point." I'm like, screw you. I am at the point right now where I just want to not do it to spite them. It legitimately makes me happy to say that I did not graduate college right now, despite the fact that I still have a bunch of loans I have to pay off from that. But I'm like, it's making me very happy right now to be able to say, "Yeah, I did not graduate from college." It just makes me happy, and it really shouldn't, but it does. There's something wrong with me, Masters. Something really wrong with me. And you're not disagreeing with that in the slightest.
I'm very, very perplexed by something that Bengineer has posted on Twitter.
Uh, Ben is an odd duck. I
Very.
I am curious. What has Bengineer posted on Twitter?
Um,
Is it about logically the next episodes of Star Wars should be
yes.
-2, -1, and 0?
Yes.
I mean, he's not wrong.
But he doesn't ever go from 3 to wait. So, okay.
So you start at 4, goes to 5, goes to 6, 6 goes to 1, goes to 2, goes to 3, goes to 7, goes to 8, goes to 9, goes to -2. What's not to understand? Like, he has a flow chart in his own response.
I know, that's what I'm looking at.
Like, I really...
You're commenting, aren't you?
Yes, hate how much that this is not wrong. Oh man, that's trippy.
Oh my goodness. Technically, it went 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 3.5, 8, 3 3/4, 9.
Actually, it'd be 3 3/4 followed by 3.5 because Solo comes before.
Oh, right,
Rogue
right,
One.
right. So it'd be
And actually,
4, 5, 6.
If we want to
1,
get
2,
really
3,
technical,
7.
it'd be like 3.99 or something like this. It's like really close.
Okay, so we're at 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 3.9, 8, 3.5, 9.
-2, -1, 0.
Oh. Well, technically. Wait, what? So they were planning on doing a Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan series. Where would that have been set? That would have clearly had to have been set
It's between 3 and 4.
after episode 3.
It's between 3 and 4. Yeah.
So why are all of the Solo movies, no pun intended, between 3 and 4? I guess that because that's the biggest time gap.
Because that's the age that he is. If they were like starting from like the
Well,
birth.
I mean, I understand him. I am talking about all of their Star Wars story movies in general.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, I'm just saying that why are they choosing between episodes 3 and 4 to make all of their Star Wars stories?
Well, that's not necessarily what they are planning to make all their Star Wars stories. It's just that that's where they have made all of their Star Wars stories so far. And no, because The Mandalorian is between 6 and 7.
The Mandalorian is not a Star Wars story movie.
Well, okay. Is there another Star Wars story movie that I'm not hearing about?
Yes.
We have Rogue One.
All of them.
We have Rogue One and Solo.
Rogue One and Solo.
Right.
Yeah.
Kenobi
They're
is
both
not
between 3 and 4.
Right. Kenobi is a series.
Obi-Wan hasn't been made yet.
It's a series. It's not a movie.
It was a movie.
Right, and now it's a series, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
Because the movie, from what I heard of the movie was going to be trash, garbage, unwatchable refuse. Even
that's
with
what they said about Solo too, and Solo's amazing.
No. I mean, they leaked the script for at least not maybe not the script, but the film treatment for the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and the entire premise was contrived and ridiculous and repetitive and stupid and unnecessary, and
obviously don't understand how Disney does scripts, because that is how all of their scripts start out.
I would like a movie that knows what the end is before the beginning. Like they know where they're going to end up and they just build everything backwards from there. Because that's generally how I do things. I understand, okay, maybe that may not be how I'm doing things right now, at least roleplay wise, because I created a character just as a joke twice. One died, and I have no backstory for the current one. I have zero backstory, and we're making it up.
I have given up on even caring about your backstories at this point.
Until I have a character who successfully makes it past 2 full sessions, I'm not caring either. And let me say, if he doesn't make it till 5, I'm not doing any work on it unless he specifically asked. Unless that specifically comes up in roleplay, I am not asking that question. Let me just post this here just for effect. Oh, wow.
Tweet. It's on the tweet.
I know, but this is the reply graphic, so people don't have to like, because all the information, the word information is there, but this is the visual information to go with it. So
look, now you're doing too much for this podcast.
You know, I had it open anyway, and I'm going to post it.
Bare minimum.
I'm going to post it in my church's group chat because we're all a bunch of Star Wars nerds anyway, and they'll really appreciate it, and they're going to hate me for it. But yeah, it's a thing. Yeah. I would like them to know where they're going and have this planned out. Not be like episode 9 where they're like, oh yeah, like halfway through we're gonna decide that now Palpatine is the villain, and oh yeah, she's kind of well, we're not really sure if she is his granddaughter or if she is the daughter of a clone or what's going to happen here and like how her whole, but like they had no plan going into 9. Zero plan. And that to me is totally unacceptable. And the result that we received is also totally unacceptable. So, kind of rest my case. J-Seed may be correct. Episode 8 may be better than episode 9. But only from an artistic standpoint of what they were able to put on screen. Not from a narrative point, not from a Star Wars standpoint, not from any sort of Star Wars canon tie-in, anything would that have been a good film. But from the visuals that they put on screen, from some of the ideas that they presented, okay. But as a Star Wars movie, it fails utterly. But it may still be better than episode 9. And that hurts me to say, because I really dislike episode 8. I hate that that idea is now in my head. Thank you, Masters. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
I blame you for this.
Blame me for what?
All of it. All right.
This was your idea. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my word. Can't look at that either. All right. Anyway, I think that's plenty for tonight. Now I'm upset and I'm angry. Good.
Okay. Again, I blame you for this. Thank you all for watching, everybody. It has been fun for the most part. I'm frustrated. Didn't want to be here, but I'm here. Darn it. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully good things will happen. Hopefully we'll have another, I mean, I am at this point expect...
Next week?
What?
I won't be here.
You won't be here next week. Why will you not be here next week? Oh, that's right. You're going to be in Disney. Darn you, Masters. Well, next week I'll have to figure... next week,
Here.
huh?
Get broke butt on here.
I could get Brokebutt on here. We could have a guest spot. That would work. I was thinking either that or I could try and do the joke boat stream with Monkey, but you might kill me if I did that without you.
Quite possibly.
We do have to find a time to do that. I have to actually like talk to Monkey and plan this out. Because right now I have a couple of days that might work, and we just gotta plan it and do it, dadgummit. But we keep filling in days where it won't work. So, yeah, I'll talk with Monkey and we'll get that planned out. That needs to happen before the end of this year. I also have to talk with Kuya and see if we're doing anything for Kuya carols this year. I kind of doubt it.
Highly doubt.
And if we're not doing anything with Kuya carols, we'll have to see if I'm doing anything for Gavi carols. Or just do Kuya carols sans Kuya. And the thing is, this year I finally found a way to make it so much easier to what am I saying here? I finally found a way to make it so much easier to do this and actually have less delay between people singing and things. But that's probably not going to make that big a difference about anything. So I need to talk to Monkey, I need to talk to Kuya. Apparently I need to talk to Brokebutt and see what she's doing next Saturday. And see what her availability is for a guest spot. And have to tell her she has to watch The Mandalorian before then, because that's actually what she's doing right now. She's catching up on the last 3 episodes that she hasn't watched yet. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Anyway.
Word.
Thank you all for watching. That's another tangent we didn't need to get on, but here we are. If you did enjoy this, please drop a like down below. Hit subscribe to either the YouTube channel or the podcast on Podbean, any of the other ones that are out there. I still have to update the list on my Discord because apparently we can also now get it on iHeartRadio, which I was like, wow, iHeartRadio is actually doing things. Like, that's only been like 3 months since I sent them the stuff for that. Okay. That might be why I haven't updated it. Not that they care. Not that anyone cares. No one cares. Nobody cares. That's the point. And that's going to be good. We've already got like 12 different places people can listen to it. So wherever you are listening to this from, good on you. Or I'm so sorry. Probably the second one. Thank you all for listening in. If you would be so kind, if you did enjoy this, please feel free, more than feel free, feel obligated to share this with people that you either like or don't like, and see if this might be something they'd be interested in. Because that is the way that we grow. That is the way that we continue on. That's the way that we feel self-validation from continuing to do this. Not that we're trying to be self-validated in general, but at least in continuing to do this podcast. That's the thought so far. Anyway, looking forward to talking with you all again soon. Curse Masters for missing out next week. And double curse on him for being at Disney without me. Anyway, anything else, Masters?
Sleep.
All right. Good night, everyone, and goodbye. And I accidentally cut off Masters rather than stop recording. Oops.